When Michael Jordan discovers his sister Roslyn has been secretly working 2 jobs to support her family, he decides to help without hurting her pride. He arranges a better job for her husband, creates a health program for her sick daughter, and donates to her workplace to ensure she gets a raise, all without telling her. But when Michael visits Roslyn's night cleaning job to finally talk to her, a security guard snaps a photo of the basketball legend sitting alone in an empty office building. The picture goes viral, exposing Roslyn's struggles and Michael's secret efforts to the world. As their private family matter becomes public, the Jordan siblings must confront deep-rooted issues of pride, independence, and what it truly means to support family. What begins as an embarrassing viral moment transforms into something neither of them expected. A chance to help thousands of families facing similar challenges. Michael Jordan sank into his leather couch with a sigh. The charity dinner had gone well, but these events always drained him. He loosened his tie and kicked off his dress shoes, letting his feet sink into the plush carpet of his Chicago penthouse. The city lights twinkled through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but Michael barely noticed them tonight. His phone buzzed on the glass coffee table. The screen showed Jamal, his sister Roslyn's 16-year-old son. Michael smiled and picked up. "Hey, little man," Michael said, his voice warming. "Isn't it past your bedtime?" "Uncle Mike!" Jamal's voice cracked with excitement. "Did you see the Bulls game? Coach Wilson let me play the whole fourth quarter, and I scored 15 points. "That's my boy," Michael said proudly. Jamal had inherited the Jordan basketball genes. "Your jump shot getting any better?" "Mom's been too busy to take me to the court," Jamal said. "She's hardly ever home these days." Michael frowned. "What do you mean? Your mom works at the college, right? Those aren't long hours." There was a pause on the line. Yeah, but she's got this other job too. She made me promise not to tell anyone." Michael sat up straight. "Another job? What other job?" Jamal's voice dropped. "I wasn't supposed to say anything. She cleans offices at night. She thinks I don't know, but I saw her work schedule in her purse." "How long has this been going on?" Michael asked, trying to keep his voice calm. "I don't know, like 8 months or something? She gets home super late. Dad says she's doing community work, but I heard them arguing about money." Michael's mind raced. Roslyn had never mentioned money problems. Just last month at their mother's birthday dinner, Roslyn had seemed fine. Tired, maybe, but she'd joked and laughed like always. "Jamal, I need you to keep this between us, okay? Don't tell your mom we talked about this." "Am I in trouble?" Jamal asked, suddenly sounding younger than 16. "No, buddy. You did good telling me. I'm going to figure this out." After hanging up, Michael paced his living room. His sister was working a second job, cleaning offices at night, and hiding it from everyone, especially him. The thought made his stomach twist. Michael and Roslyn had always been close, even after he became famous. She was the one who stood up for him when neighborhood bullies picked on him as a skinny kid. She never missed his high school games. She was the first person he called when he made the varsity team at North Carolina. Why wouldn't she come to him for help? Michael was worth over $2 billion. He could solve whatever financial problems she had with a single phone call. He grabbed his phone and almost called her, but stopped himself. If Roslyn was keeping this secret, confronting her directly would only embarrass her. The Jordan family. Pride ran deep. Michael walked to the built-in bookshelf where he kept family photos. He picked up one from last Christmas, all the Jordans gathered at their mother's house in North Carolina. Roslyn stood beside him, her arm around his waist, smiling wide. Looking closer now, He could see dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't quite hide. How had he missed the signs? Michael set down the photo and picked up another. His father, James, and mother, Dolores, with all 5 of their children. It was taken before Michael became famous, before the Nike deals and championships. They were just a regular family from Wilmington, North Carolina then, all squeezed together on their porch steps. His father had worked in a factory. His mother had been a bank teller. They taught all their children that hard work and independence were everything. Jordans don't take handouts, his father used to say. Was that why Rosalind wouldn't ask for help? Was she working herself to exhaustion because of that Jordan pride? Michael sat back down on the couch, the photo still in his hands. Outside, a spring storm was brewing, rain starting to tap against the windows. The sound reminded him of nights in their childhood home, when he and Rosalind would stay up late talking while rain hit the tin awning outside their windows. His phone buzzed with a text from his assistant about tomorrow's meetings, but Michael couldn't focus on it. All he could think about was his sister working a cleaning job late at night, after already putting in a full day at the community college. He tried to imagine Rosalind, who had attended all his NBA championships, who had stood beside him at his Hall of Fame induction, now scrubbing floors in empty office buildings while he sat in this luxury penthouse. How long has she been struggling? He whispered to the empty room. And why didn't she tell me? His mind flashed to their last few family gatherings. Rosalind had missed several Sunday dinners at their mother's house in the past few months. She always had excuses. A school event? A community project? Had she been working those nights? Michael scrolled through his recent text messages with his sister. They were all normal. She asked about his travel schedule, sent photos of Jamal's basketball games, shared funny memes. Nothing that hinted at any problems. But now he remembered her, turning down his offer to fly the whole family to his beach house in Florida over spring break. Too busy with work, she'd said. He hadn't pushed it. Michael walked to the window and looked out at the rain now coming down hard over Chicago. Somewhere in this city, his sister might be cleaning offices right now. The thought made his chest ache. He had to help her, but he knew Rosalind well enough to understand that simply offering money would hurt her pride. The Jordan's stubbornness was legendary. She would deny everything, maybe even get angry that Jamal had told him. No, he needed to be smart about this, subtle. He needed to find out exactly what was happening with Rosalind's family, and then find a way to help that she would accept. Michael looked at the family photo again, at his father's proud face. James Jordan had died suddenly in 1993, a loss that had shattered the family. After that, Rosalind had stepped up, becoming the glue that held everyone together. Now it was Michael's turn to step up for her. He sat down at his desk and pulled out a notepad. By the time he went to bed hours later, Michael had the beginnings of a plan. But as he lay awake listening to the storm, all he could think about was his sister, wondering if she was just getting home from her secret job, exhausted and worried. For the first time in years, Michael Jordan, the man who had everything, felt completely helpless. Sleep didn't come easy that night. As Michael tossed and turned, his mind drifted back to Wilmington, North Carolina, where it all began. Summer 1975. 10-year-old Michael ran home with tears streaming down his face. The older boys from Cedar Street had pushed him down and called, him skinny and weak. His knees were scraped raw, his new shirt torn. "What happened to you?" Rosalind asked, finding him hiding behind the garage. At 13, she was already fiercely protective of her younger brother. "Nothing," Michael mumbled, wiping his face with his arm. Rosalind put her hands on her hips. "Don't lie to me, Mike." Was it those Cedar Street boys again? When Michael nodded, Rosalind grabbed his hand. "Come on." "Where are we going?" he asked, trying to keep up with her determined stride. "To teach those boys a lesson." Rosalind marched straight to Cedar Street with Michael trailing behind. She found the boys playing basketball in Tommy Wilson's driveway. "Hey!" she shouted. "Which one of you pushed my brother?" Tommy, the biggest kid, laughed. "What are you going to do about it, girl?" Rosalind stepped right up to him. Though she was shorter, she didn't back down. "I'm going to give you one chance to say sorry." "Or what?" Tommy smirked. "Or you'll be sorry you ever messed with a Jordan." When Tommy just laughed, Rosalind did something that became family legend. She grabbed the basketball, dribbled past all three boys, and made a perfect shot. Then she turned and said, "My little brother's gonna be better than all of you put together someday, and you'll be asking him for autographs." On the walk home, Michael asked, "How'd you learn to shoot like that?" Rosalind shrugged. "Dad's been teaching me. You should ask him to show you too." Michael smiled at the memory. Rosalind had always been his defender, even before anyone believed in his basketball future. She was the one who convinced their father to build that hoop in the backyard where Michael practiced until his hands blistered. The Jordan family hadn't been rich, but they never felt poor. Their father, James, worked hard at the General Electric plant, and their mother, Dolores, worked at United Carolina Bank. They raised their 5 children: James Jr., Dolores, who everyone called Sis, Larry, Rosalind, and her twin brother Ronnie, and Michael, with firm rules and lots of love. Michael got out of bed and went to his home office. He opened a drawer and pulled out an old photo album his mother had made for him. The first picture showed the small house on Gordon Road where they grew up. It wasn't much, just a 3-bedroom home with 1 bathroom for 7 people. But it was always clean, always full of food and laughter. He turned the page and found a photo of all 5 Jordan kids lined up by height for church. Even then, Michael wasn't the tallest. Larry, his older brother, towered over him. Rosalind stood in the middle, her arm linked with her twin Ronnie's, both of them grinning wide. The Jordan siblings fought like wildcats sometimes, but they always stuck together when it mattered. That was the rule their father laid down. Family protects family. Michael remembered the day he got his first serious basketball shoes. He'd begged for them for months, but his parents said they were too expensive. Then, one day, he came home from school to find them on his bed. "How?" he'd asked his mother in shock. "Ask your sister," Dolores said with a smile. Rosalind had saved up from her after-school job at the corner store to buy them. "You better become famous now," she'd teased, "so you can buy me a car someday." Years later, when Michael signed his first Nike deal, he tried to buy Rosalind that car. She refused. "I was just joking back then," she said. "I don't need anything from you, Mike. I'm proud of you, but I make my own way." That was Rosalind, fiercely independent, just like their father. The summer before Michael started high school, their father sat all 5 kids down on the porch steps. "Being a Jordan means something," James said, his deep voice serious. "It means you work hard. It means you never take what you haven't earned. It means you help others, but you don't depend on anybody." "Not even family?" Ronnie had asked. "Family is different," James conceded. "Family is the only ones you can truly count on. But even with family, you give more than you take." Michael had taken those words to heart. Through his years at Laney, high school in Wilmington, where he famously got cut from the varsity team as a sophomore, Rosalind never missed a game. When everyone else doubted him, she'd sit in the stands shouting, "That's my brother." Even after Michael grew 7 inches and became a star, earning a scholarship to North Carolina, Rosalind kept him humble. "You still have to take out the trash when you're home," she'd remind him. "Mom's rules." When fame and fortune came, Michael tried to share it with his family. His parents reluctantly accepted some gifts, but Rosalind always kept a distance from his wealth. "I'm proud of you," she would say, "but I don't need your money." The hardest time for their family came in July 1993, when James Jordan was murdered. The violent, senseless crime shook the entire family to its core, but it hit Rosalind especially hard. She had been their father's favorite, though he would never admit it. The one who shared his stubborn pride and work ethic. At the funeral, while Michael was surrounded by cameras and teammates, it was Rosalind who held their mother's hand, who made sure everyone was fed, who handled the endless phone calls and arrangements. When Michael announced his first retirement from basketball 3 months later, partly due to grief over his father, Rosalind was the one who told him, "Dad would want you to keep playing when you're ready." After James died, Rosalind stepped into his role as the family's backbone. She organized the holiday gatherings, kept track of birthdays, made sure their mother wasn't lonely. Even when she started her own family with Marcus, she remained the glue that held the Jordans together. Dawn was breaking over Chicago as Michael finally closed the photo album. Now it all made sense. Rosalind would never ask for help because their father had taught them self-reliance above all else. In her mind, asking for money, even from her brother, would be failing their father's memory. But James Jordan had also taught them that family protects family. And now Michael needed to protect his sister. Whether she wanted it or not, he picked up his phone and made a call. "Hey, it's MJ. I need a favor, and it needs to stay quiet." Michael had never used his fame or wealth to intrude on his sister's life before. But this time was different. This time, Rosalind needed him, even if she wouldn't admit it. As the sun rose over Lake Michigan, Michael finally had a clearer direction. He would respect his sister's pride, but he would not stand by while she worked herself to exhaustion. He just needed to be smart about how he helped. James Jordan would have done the same. Michael showered and dressed, his mind clear now despite the lack of sleep. He needed information before he could act. Information about Rosalind's situation without tipping her off. He called his assistant, Tim Grover, who had been with him for decades. "Tim, I need you to clear my schedule for the next few days. Family matter." "Everything okay?" Tim asked, concern in his voice. "Not sure yet. I'll let you know." Michael's first call was to Earl Foster, a childhood friend who still lived in Wilmington, but kept in touch with the Jordan family in Chicago. Earl had kids the same age as Rosalind's children, and their families often spent time together. "Earl, I need to ask you something, but it stays between us." "Of course, MJ. What's up?" "Have you heard anything about Rosalind having money problems?" There was a pause on the line. "Man, I didn't want to be the one to tell you this." Michael's stomach dropped. "Tell me what?" "Marcus's contracting business went under about a year ago. The economy hit him hard. He tried to keep it quiet. You know how proud he is." "Why didn't anyone tell me?" "Rosalind made everyone promise not to. Said she'd handle it." Michael gripped the phone tighter. "What else do you know?" "Their daughter Jasmine has some health issues, some kind of autoimmune thing. I don't know the details, but Tanya said they've had a lot of medical bills. Insurance doesn't cover all the treatments." Michael sat down heavily. Jasmine was only 14, Rosalind's youngest. He'd noticed she looked thin at Christmas, but Rosalind had said it was just a growth spurt. "How bad is it, Earl?" "Bad enough that they almost lost the house last fall. I think Marcus's mom helped them catch up on payments, but they're still struggling. After hanging up, Michael paced his penthouse. His niece was sick, his brother-in-law's business had failed, and his sister was working 2 jobs to keep them afloat, all while hiding everything from him. Michael's next call was to his old teammate, Charles Wilson, who had gone into real estate after retiring from basketball. "Charles, what do you know about Evergreen Community College? It's on the south side. Small school, decent reputation. Why?" "My sister works there, in administration. I'm trying to get a sense of what they pay." Charles laughed. "Not much, man. Those schools run on tight budgets. Administrators might make $50,000, $60,000 tops." Not enough to support a family of 4 with medical bills, Michael thought. "One more thing," Michael said. "Do you know anyone who owns office buildings in that area? The ones that might hire cleaning staff at night? You looking to invest in commercial real estate?" Something like that. By noon, Michael had a clearer picture. Roslyn worked at Evergreen Community College as an administrative assistant, making about $52,000 a year. At night, she cleaned offices for citywide janitorial services, which contracted with several buildings in the business district. The second job probably paid minimum wage. Marcus had closed his contracting business 10 months ago and was working odd jobs while trying to find steady employment. Their medical insurance through Roslyn's job at the college had high deductibles and limited coverage for specialists. Their daughter Jasmine had been diagnosed with lupus a year ago. The disease required regular treatments and medications that insurance only partially covered. The family was drowning in medical debt. Michael made one more call before heading out, to Dr. Sarah Jenkins, a top rheumatologist who had treated several Bulls players over the years. "Dr. Jenkins, I need to understand lupus better. A family member was diagnosed. The doctor explained the disease, an autoimmune condition where the body attacks its own tissues. It causes inflammation, joint pain, fatigue, and other symptoms. While treatable, it requires ongoing care. The best treatments are expensive," Dr. Jenkins said, "and sometimes experimental ones aren't covered by insurance. What about college employee health plans? Usually basic. They might cover standard medications, but not the newer biologics that work better for young patients." Michael thanked her and hung up, his worry deepening. By mid-afternoon, Michael was driving through Roslyn's neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. It was a modest area of small, well-kept homes. Nothing fancy, but respectable. The kind of neighborhood where teachers, nurses, and city workers lived. He parked a block away from Roslyn's house, pulling a baseball cap low over his eyes. Even after all these years, he couldn't go anywhere without being recognized. The last thing he needed was neighbors spotting Michael Jordan outside his sister's house while she wasn't home. Michael knew Roslyn's schedule from years of family gatherings. She'd be at the college until 4:00, then home to make dinner before, heading to her night job around 7. Sadif. It was just after 2:00 now, so the house should be empty. He walked casually down the street, then up the driveway to Roslyn's 2-story brick home. He had a key. All the Jordan siblings had keys to each other's homes, a tradition their mother had started. Inside, the house was spotlessly clean, but showed signs of wear. The furniture in the living room was the same set Roslyn and Marcus had bought 15 years ago. The kitchen had outdated appliances, though everything gleamed from recent cleaning. Michael noticed small signs of financial strain that he'd missed during family visits. A stack of medical bills on the desk, repaired tears in the couch cushions, store-brand food in the pantry instead of the name brands Roslyn used to buy. He went upstairs to check on Jasmine's room. The wall calendar was marked with doctor appointments and medication schedules. A pill organizer sat on her nightstand next to a stack of library books. Even in this, Rosalind was teaching her children to be resourceful, borrowing books instead of buying them. In the master bedroom, Michael found more evidence of his sister's struggle. The closet held Rosalind's work clothes, simple, professional outfits for the college. But tucked in the back were 2 gray uniforms with citywide janitorial embroidered on the pockets. Michael sat on the edge of the bed, running his hand over the uniforms. The fabric was cheap and rough. He tried to picture his sister, who had always taken such pride in her appearance, wearing these night after night. On the dresser was a family photo from Michael's Hall of Fame induction in 2009. Rosalind stood beside him, beaming with pride, elegant in a designer dress he'd bought for her as a gift. Next to it was a more recent photo of Rosalind with Jasmine in a hospital room, both of them smiling despite the IV in the girl's arm. The contrast broke Michael's heart. He found Marcus and Rosalind's bank statements in a drawer. The balance was dangerously low. They had less than $500 in checking and not much more in savings. Credit card statements showed they were keeping up with minimum payments, but just barely. Michael left everything exactly as he found it and locked up. Sitting in his car, he checked the time. Nearly 3:30. Rosalind would be home soon. As he drove away, he passed Rosalind's modest sedan heading in the opposite direction. He ducked his head, but she was focused on the road, her face drawn with exhaustion even from the brief glimpse he caught. Michael gripped the steering wheel tighter. The Jordan family pride had always been a strength, binding them together through hardship. But now it was keeping Rosalind from accepting the help she desperately needed. He had all the information now. The picture was clear, and it was worse than he'd imagined. His sister was working herself to the bone, while her daughter battled a serious illness, and her husband struggled to rebuild his career. And all because she was too proud to ask her billionaire brother for help. Michael headed toward downtown Chicago, his jaw set with determination. Now that he understood the problem, he could form a real plan. A way to help that wouldn't hurt Rosalind's pride. It wouldn't be easy. But then again, nothing worth doing ever was. His father had taught them that too. Michael drove to his downtown office building. Though he could have worked from his penthouse, he needed the energy of his workspace, the place where he'd built his business empire after retiring from basketball. The walls were lined with photos of career highlights, but his favorite was in the center. James Jordan standing proudly beside his son at the first championship win. "What would you do, Dad?" Michael murmured, staring at his father's smiling face. He picked up the phone and called John Coleman, his financial advisor for over 20 years. "John, I need to set up a foundation program, something that can be implemented quickly." "Another basketball camp?" John asked. "No, this is different. I want to create a healthcare fund for community college employees and their families." John was silent for a moment. "That's very specific. Any particular community college?" "Evergreen Community College for now, but we could expand later. I want it to cover expenses that standard insurance doesn't. Experimental treatments, specialists, that kind of thing." "This is sudden. What's the motivation?" Michael hesitated, then decided on a half-truth. "I met someone whose kid is sick. They work at a community college and can't afford the treatments. Got me thinking about how many others might be in the same boat." "Makes sense," John said. "We'll need to set up proper criteria, application processes." "I want it running within a week," Michael interrupted. "And I want to be anonymous. The money comes from the foundation, not directly from me." "A week, Michael? These things take time to—" "1 week," Michael repeated firmly. "Whatever it costs to make that happen, do it." Next, Michael called his old teammate Scottie Pippen, who had invested heavily in construction companies after retirement. "Scottie, you still have that stake in Wright Construction?" "Sure do. Why?" "They hiring? I know someone with contracting experience who needs work." "For a friend of yours? I'm sure we can find something." "Not directly for me. Don't mention my—" "Name it all. This guy's name is Marcus Taylor. He had his own business, but it went under." Scottie caught on quickly. "I get it. You're playing Secret Santa. I'll make some calls, see what positions they have open." "Make sure it comes with good benefits," Michael added. "Health insurance especially." His last call was to Patricia Wilson, a college administrator he'd met through charity work. She sat on several educational boards in the Chicago area. "Patricia, what do you know about Evergreen Community College? Small school, dedicated staff, always underfunded," she replied. "Their president is retiring next month. Why do you ask?" Michael smiled. This was exactly the opening he needed. "I'm thinking about making a donation." "To Evergreen? That's unexpected." "I have my reasons. Who would I talk to about an endowment? One with specific conditions?" Patricia gave him the contact information for the college's board chair. "They'll name a building after you for a big enough donation." "That's not what I want," Michael said. "In fact, I want to remain anonymous." An hour later, Michael had laid the groundwork. Now he needed to put everything in motion without alerting Roslyn. He opened his laptop and drafted an email to the Evergreen Community College Board chair, requesting a discreet meeting. As he worked, Michael remembered the time he'd tried to help Roslyn right after signing his first Nike deal. He was 21, suddenly wealthy beyond imagination, and eager to share. He'd bought a new Camaro and driven it to Roslyn's apartment, holding out the keys. "It's yours," he'd said proudly. Roslyn had laughed. "I can't take that, Mike." "Why not?" "I can afford it." "Because I didn't earn it," she'd said simply. "And because I'm your big sister, not your charity case." She'd made him take the car back. Instead, she'd asked him to help their parents with home repairs, something their father would accept because, as Roslyn put it, "Dad helped you your whole life. It's just payback." That was Roslyn's way. She would accept help for others, but never directly for herself. Michael closed his laptop. The direct approach wouldn't work. He needed to be more creative. He grabbed a legal pad and sketched out his plan. Create health fund at Evergreen CC. Anonymous. Get Marcus job interview at Wright Construction. Donate to college with condition. Raise admin staff salaries. For find. Way to monitor results without revealing involvement. The last part would be tricky. Michael couldn't check in with Roslyn directly without raising suspicion. He needed someone on the inside, someone Roslyn trusted, who could keep a secret. He thought about Roslyn's close friend Sharon, who taught at the same college. They'd been friends since high school. If anyone would help without betraying Michael's confidence, it would be Sharon. Michael made one more call. "Sharon? It's Michael Jordan. I need your help with something important. It's about Roslyn." An hour later, Michael had filled Sharon in on everything except his visit to Roslyn's house. Sharon wasn't surprised. "I've been worried about her," Sharon admitted. "She's exhausted all the time but won't talk about it. I knew something was wrong when she started turning down lunch dates. Roslyn never misses a chance to gossip over lunch. Can you keep me updated on how she's doing, without letting her know we talked?" "Of course. We've been friends for 30 years. I hate seeing her like this." Michael felt a weight lift from his shoulders. He had an ally now, someone who cared about Roslyn as much as he did. "One more thing," Michael said. "I'm setting up some programs. That might help, but they can't seem connected to me." Roslyn would never accept direct help. The famous Jordan pride, Sharon said with a sad laugh. Roslyn once worked 3 days with the flu because she didn't want to use her sick days. Said her students needed her more than she needed rest. That sounded exactly like his sister. By evening, Michael had set all the pieces in motion. The health fund would be announced next week, accepting applications immediately. Marcus would receive a call about a job interview the following day, and the college board was meeting in emergency session to discuss Michael's 7-figure donation, with its specific conditions about staff raises, all of it anonymous, all of it designed to help without hurting Roslyn's pride. Michael ordered dinner delivered to his office as he finalized the details. The Jordan Family Foundation would make the health fund donation through 3 different channels to obscure the source. The money for the college would come through an educational trust he'd established years ago. Everything was carefully constructed to help Roslyn without her ever knowing her brother was behind it. As night fell over Chicago, Michael finally headed home. He was exhausted but satisfied. The plan would work. It had to work. His phone buzzed with a text from their mother. "Sunday dinner this weekend. Roslyn says she can't make it. Work commitment. Can you talk her into coming? I miss seeing all my children together." Michael felt a pang in his chest. Work commitment meant Roslyn's night cleaning job. She was missing family time to scrub floors in empty offices. He texted back, "I'll work on it. Love you, Mom." Then he called the president of the property management company that owned the building where Roslyn worked. He'd met the man at a charity golf tournament last year. "Richard?" "Michael Jordan. I need a favor." By the time Michael reached his penthouse, he had made one last addition to his plan. Next Sunday, there would be no cleaning shifts scheduled at any of the buildings where Roslyn might work. A system upgrade would require all buildings to be empty, just a small adjustment to ensure his sister could make it to family dinner. A tiny use of his influence that didn't cross any lines. Michael smiled as he looked out at the Chicago skyline. For the first time since learning about Roslyn's situation, he felt hopeful. His plan wasn't perfect, but it was a start. His sister had always protected him. Now, it was his turn to protect her. The alarm blared at 5:01 a.m. Roslyn Taylor reached over and silenced it before it could wake Marcus. Her husband needed his sleep. He had a job interview today, his 3rd this month, and she wanted him rested and sharp. Roslyn slipped out of bed, wincing as her feet hit the cold floor. Her body ached from yesterday's work, especially her lower back. Cleaning offices meant hours of bending, lifting, and scrubbing. At 48, she wasn't bouncing back like she used to. In the bathroom, Roslyn splashed water on her face and studied her reflection. Dark circles under her eyes, gray strands multiplying in her black hair. She looked older than her years. "Keep it together, Roz," she whispered to herself. "The family needs you strong." Downstairs, Roslyn started breakfast. Eggs, toast, fruit. For Jasmine, who needed extra nutrients to fight the lupus. Oatmeal for Jamal, who had basketball practice before school. Coffee for Marcus, to help him shake off the depression that had clung to him since his business failed. As bacon sizzled in the pan, Roslyn checked Jasmine's medication organizer. 3 pills with breakfast, 2 more at dinner. The specialist had recommended a new treatment, a biologic that might put the lupus in remission, but insurance deemed it experimental and wouldn't cover the $4,000 monthly cost. The thought made her stomach clench. Maybe after a few more months of the night job, they could afford 1 round of the treatment, just to see if it helped. Footsteps on the stairs announced Jamal, already dressed in basketball shorts and a t-shirt. Morning, Mom. He kissed her cheek and headed straight for the refrigerator. At 16, he was always hungry. Your uncle called. Last night, Rosalind said casually, watching Jamal's reaction. Wanted to know if we're coming to Grandma's on Sunday. What did you tell him? Jamal asked, not meeting her eyes. That I have a volunteer commitment. Same as last time. Jamal nodded, focusing intently on pouring orange juice. Rosalind studied. Her son. He'd been acting strange lately, guilty almost. She wondered if he'd figured out her second job wasn't really volunteer work. Something you want to tell me? She asked gently. Nope. Jamal grabbed a piece of bacon. Everything's good. Rosalind let it drop. No sense pushing him before school. Next down was Jasmine, moving slowly, her thin frame swallowed by an oversized sweatshirt. At 14, she should have been full of teenage energy. Instead, the lupus left her tired and achy most days. How's my girl? Rosalind asked, helping Jasmine into a chair. Okay, Jasmine managed to smile. Just a little stiff. Take your meds with breakfast. They'll help. Jasmine nodded, reaching for the pill organizer with practiced movements. Rosalind's heart ached watching her daughter go through the routine that no child should have to learn. Marcus appeared last, already dressed in his interview suit, the same one he'd worn to pitch clients when his contracting business was thriving. It hung a little loose now. Stress had taken weight off his solid frame. You look handsome, Rosalind said, straightening his tie. They'd be crazy not to hire you. It's for a supervisor position at Wright Construction, Marcus said. Bigger company than I ever dealt with before. Not sure why they even called me. Because you're good at what you do, Rosalind said firmly. 10 years running your own business proves that. A business that failed, Marcus reminded her, the old bitterness creeping into his voice. The economy failed, not you. Rosalind had repeated this so many times, it felt like a prayer. Half the contractors in Chicago went under last year. Marcus kissed her cheek. What would I do without you believing in me? Let's never find out, she answered with a smile. Breakfast was a whirlwind of activity. Jamal grabbing his basketball gear, Jasmine double-checking homework, Marcus rehearsing answers to potential interview questions. Rosalind moved through it, all making lunches, finding lost permission slips, being the center that held their family together. By 7:30 a.m., they were all gone, Jamal to early practice, Marcus dropping Jasmine at school before his interview. The house fell silent. Rosalind sat at the empty table for 5 precious minutes, drinking the last of her coffee. This was her only true break of the day. 5 minutes of absolute quiet before her own work began. The drive to Evergreen Community College took 20 minutes in morning traffic. Rosalind arrived at her desk by 8:15, turned on her computer, and began sorting through emails. As administrative assistant to the Dean of Students, she handled everything from budget spreadsheets to student complaints to faculty scheduling. Morning, sunshine, called Sharon, sticking her head into Rosalind's small office. You look tired. Just the usual Monday feeling, Rosalind replied with a forced smile. Sharon studied her with concern. We still on for lunch today? I brought mine, trying to save a little money. My treat, Sharon insisted. I got a freelance editing job that paid extra. Let me spend some of it on my best friend. Rosalind wanted to refuse, but lunch with Sharon was the one bright spot in her workday. Okay, but I'm getting the soup, not the sandwich platter. Sharon grinned. Deal. The morning passed in a blur of meetings and phone calls. At lunch, Sharon steered the conversation away from work. How's Jasmine doing with the new medications? Rosalind sighed. Some good days, some bad. The doctor wants her to try this new treatment, but insurance won't cover it. That's awful. How much would it cost? About $4,000 a month. Rosalind stirred her soup. We're saving up to try it, just once, to see if it helps. What about Michael? Sharon asked carefully. He could help. No, Rosalind cut her off. We're not going there. But he's your brother, and he has more money than he could spend in 10 lifetimes. That's his money, not mine. Rosalind's tone left no room for argument. I've never asked Mike for a dime, and I'm not starting now. Sharon changed the subject, but Rosalind's mood was already darkened. Everyone thought it was so simple. Just ask her famous brother for money. They didn't understand the Jordan family pride or what it meant to make your own way in the world. Back at her desk, Rosalind checked her personal email during a quick break. There was a message from her mother about Sunday dinner. Michael says, "He needs to see everyone," the email read. "It's important. Please try to make it." Rosalind sighed and closed the email without responding. She'd have to think of a better excuse. The cleaning company had her scheduled every Sunday night this month. Her cell phone rang, Marcus calling with news from his interview. They offered me the job on the spot, he said, his voice alive with excitement for the first time in months. Supervisor position, benefits, company truck, the works. That's wonderful. Rosalind felt tears spring to her eyes. When do you start? Next Monday. And Ross, the health insurance is top tier. HR lady said it covers dependents fully, even specialty treatments. Rosalind had to sit down, her knees suddenly weak. Are you saying Jasmine's new medication might be covered? They'll need to review her case, but it looks promising. After hanging up, Rosalind sat at her desk, trembling. It felt too good to be true. After months of struggle, suddenly, Marcus had not just a job, but one with benefits that might help Jasmine. She wanted to believe it was just luck, but a nagging suspicion took root. The timing was too perfect. By 4 p.m., Rosalind was heading home, her mind racing. She had 3 hours to make dinner, help with homework, and get ready for her night job. If Marcus's new health insurance really covered Jasmine's treatment, maybe she could quit the cleaning job soon. The thought gave her a surge of energy. At home, she made chicken and vegetables, supervised Jamal's math homework, and helped Jasmine with an English essay. When Marcus got home, they celebrated his new job with ice cream, a rare treat these days. At 6:45 p.m., Rosalind changed into her gray cleaning uniform. I'll be home by midnight, she told Marcus. Don't wait up. The office building was quiet when she arrived. Rosalind signed in, grabbed her cart of supplies, and headed to the 5th floor where she always started. Her body moved on autopilot. Empty trash cans, wiped-down surfaces, vacuum carpets, clean bathrooms. The mindless routine usually let her thoughts wander. But tonight, she couldn't shake the feeling that something strange was happening. Marcus's job seemed to fall from the sky. And this morning, her boss had mentioned a possible raise coming next month due to a new college endowment. As she emptied a trash can in a corner office, Rosalind spotted a framed photo on the desk. A man shaking hands with Michael at a charity golf tournament. She picked it up, studying her brother's familiar smile. For a brief, wild moment, she wondered if Michael was somehow behind this sudden run of good luck. But that was impossible. He didn't even know about their struggles. She'd made sure of that. Rosalind put the photo down and continued working. 3 hours later, as she was cleaning the last bathroom, her phone rang. It was Jasmine's doctor's office, calling after hours. Mrs. Taylor, I wanted to let you know we've received notification that your insurance situation may be changing. If you could call us tomorrow to discuss the new treatment options." Rosalind leaned against the bathroom wall, suddenly lightheaded. "But we don't have new insurance yet. My husband just got the job offer today." There was a pause on the line. "Our records show an update was already submitted through a special program with Evergreen Community College for employees with dependents requiring specialty care." Tears ran down Rosalind's face as she hung up. There was no special program at Evergreen. At least, there hadn't been yesterday. As she drove home late that night, exhaustion gave way to suspicion. Too many coincidences. Too much sudden good fortune. When she pulled into her driveway at 12:30 a.m., Rosalind sat in her car for a long moment, too overwhelmed to move. She'd been praying for a miracle for months. Now it seemed like one had arrived. But miracles didn't just happen, especially not to Jordans. They made their own way, fought their own battles, unless someone had decided to fight this battle for her. Rosalind rested her head on the steering wheel and finally allowed herself to cry. From relief, from exhaustion, and from the growing certainty that her little brother was behind it all. The next morning, Rosalind woke to her alarm feeling more rested than she had in months. Something had shifted inside her. Hope, maybe. Or just the simple relief of knowing help might be on the way. But with that hope came suspicion. As she made breakfast, she mentally listed the strange events of the past 2 days. Marcus's sudden job offer at Wright Construction. The doctor's call about new insurance coverage. Rumors of raises at the college due to a mysterious donation. It was too much to be coincidence. But how would Michael even know about their problems? She'd been so careful to hide everything from the family, especially from him. "You're quiet this morning," Marcus said, coming up behind her to kiss her cheek. "Everything okay?" "Just thinking about all these changes," Rosalind replied. "It's a lot to take in." "Good changes, though," Marcus smiled, looking more like his old self. "I start the new job on Monday. The HR director called again this morning to confirm some details. Said they're excited to have someone with my experience." "Did they say who recommended you?" Marcus shook his head. "Just that my resume came through their recruitment system." "Why?" "No reason," Rosalind said, turning back to the stove. "Just curious." At work, more surprises awaited. Dean Thompson called Rosalind into his office first thing. "Great news," he said, practically bouncing in his chair. The board approved salary increases for all administrative staff, 10% across the board, effective next month. "What?" Rosalind sat down hard in the visitor's chair. "Why now?" The college has been on a salary freeze for 3 years. An anonymous donor made a substantial gift to the endowment, the dean explained, with the specific condition that administrative staff receive immediate raises. Said the backbone of any educational institution is its support staff. Rosalind felt her suspicions growing stronger. That sounded exactly like something Michael would say. He'd always appreciated the people behind the scenes, the equipment managers, training staff, and team administrators who made his basketball career possible. "Do we know anything about this donor?" she asked carefully. "Not a thing. The board chair just said it's someone with deep pockets and a specific interest in Evergreen." The dean leaned forward. "Between us, it's the largest donation in the college's history. They're talking about new buildings, expanded programs, a complete transformation." Rosalind nodded, trying to appear normally excited rather than increasingly suspicious. Later that morning, she stopped by Sharon's office. Her friend looked up from grading papers with a bright smile. "Hey, Ross! Did you hear about the raises? Isn't it amazing?" "Very convenient timing," Rosalind said, studying Sharon's face for any sign of knowledge. Sharon's smile faltered slightly. "What do you mean?" all these good things happening at once. Marcus gets a job with great benefits. The college suddenly has money for raises. There's a new health program that might cover Jasmine's treatments. Don't you think that's strange? Sharon looked down at her desk. Sometimes good luck comes all at once. After all the bad luck you've had, you deserve it. Rosalind crossed her arms. You know something? I don't know what you're talking about, Sharon said, but she wouldn't meet Rosalind's eyes. Sharon Lewis, we've been friends since 9th grade. I know when you're hiding something, Sharon sighed. I'm not hiding anything. I'm just happy things are looking up for you. Can't you just accept the good news without questioning it? Rosalind wanted to push harder, but her office phone rang. She'd have to continue this conversation later. That afternoon, more news arrived. The dean announced an all-staff meeting for the following day to discuss a major new health initiative for employees and their families. According to the email, the program would focus on expanded coverage for dependents with chronic conditions. By the time Rosalind left work, her mind was racing. Too many coincidences, all directly addressing her family's most pressing needs. At home, she found Jasmine sitting at the kitchen table, looking more energetic than she had in weeks. "Mom, Dr. Phillips called again," Jasmine said excitedly. "She said I might be able to start the new treatment next week, the one that could put the lupus in remission." Rosalind hugged her daughter, fighting back tears. "That's wonderful, honey. She said something about a special program through your work? Why didn't you tell me?" "It's all happening very fast," Rosalind said carefully. "I'm still learning about it myself." That night, Rosalind didn't have to go to her cleaning job. The supervisor had called to say the building was closed for maintenance. Another convenient coincidence. As the family ate dinner together, the first time in months they'd all been home for an evening meal, Rosalind watched her loved ones closely. Marcus was animated, talking about his new job. Jasmine had more color in her cheeks, excited about the new treatment. Jamal was quieter than usual, avoiding her gaze. After dinner, when Marcus and Jasmine were watching TV, Rosalind cornered Jamal in the kitchen. "You talked to Uncle Mike, didn't you?" she asked directly. Jamal froze, a guilty expression crossing his face. "What? No, Don't lie to me, Jamal. This is important." Her son's shoulders slumped. "I didn't mean to, Mom. He called a few days ago asking why we missed Grandma's dinner. It just slipped out about your second job." Rosalind closed her eyes, feeling a mix of anger and resignation. "What exactly did you tell him?" "Just that you've been working nights cleaning offices," Jamal admitted. "He started asking questions, and I got nervous. I was worried about you, Mom. You're always so tired." Instead of the anger she expected to feel, Rosalind found herself touched by her son's concern. She pulled him into a hug. "It's okay," she said, softly. "You were trying to help." "Are you mad at Uncle Mike?" Jamal asked. "I don't know yet," Rosalind answered honestly. "I need to figure out exactly what he's done." That Sunday, the family went to dinner at Dolores Jordan's house. Rosalind had decided to go, partly because her cleaning shift had mysteriously been canceled again, and partly because she needed to see Michael face to face. When they arrived, Michael's car was already in the driveway. Rosalind felt a flutter of nervous energy. How should she confront him? Should she confront him at all? Inside, their mother was setting the table while Michael played cards with their brother Larry. Everything looked normal, except for the way Michael's eyes followed her when she entered the room. "Rosalind," he said, getting up to hug her. "Good to see you." "It's been too long," she hugged him back stiffly. "Been busy." Throughout dinner, Michael was attentive, asking questions about her work at the college, about Jasmine's health, about Marcus's new job. Nothing direct enough to reveal his hand, but Rosalind could feel his attention on her. After the meal, when the others were in the living room, Michael cornered her in the kitchen. "How are you really doing, Roz?" he asked, his voice gentle. "You seem tired." "I'm fine," she said automatically. "Just busy with work." "Just the one job at the college?" Michael asked casually. "Or do you have other commitments?" Rosalind looked up sharply. "What do you mean by that?" Michael shrugged, but his eyes were too innocent. "Just making conversation. Mom mentioned you've been missing Sunday dinners because of work commitments. Thought maybe you took on extra responsibilities at the college." "Something like that," Rosalind said carefully. "Well, I'm glad you could make it today," Michael said. "Family time is important." As he started to walk away, Rosalind called after him. "It's strange, isn't it? All these good things happening at once?" Michael turned back, his expression giving nothing away. "What good things?" "Marcus's new job. Raises. At the college. A health program that might help Jasmine. All in the span of a week." "Sounds like your luck is changing," Michael said with a small smile. "About time, don't you think?" Before Rosalind could respond, their mother called them back to the dining room for dessert. The moment passed, but Rosalind's suspicions were now certainties. Her little brother was meddling in her life. The question was, how much had he done? And how should she feel about it? As they drove home that night, Marcus commented on her silence. "Everything okay with you and Michael? You two seemed tense." "We're fine," Rosalind said, staring out the window at the passing streetlights. "Just a little sibling thing." In the back seat, Jamal caught her eye in the rearview mirror. His worried expression told her he was afraid she was angry about his slip to Michael. Rosalind gave him a reassuring smile. She wasn't angry anymore. Not at Jamal, anyway. As for Michael, she wasn't sure what she felt. Gratitude? Irritation? Wounded pride? Maybe all three. That night, as she got ready for bed, Rosalind thought about calling her cleaning supervisor to quit. With Marcus's new job and her upcoming raise, they might be able to manage without the second income. But something held her back. She wasn't ready to admit defeat, to acknowledge that she'd needed help, even if that help had arrived just in time. As she climbed into bed beside her sleeping husband, Rosalind made a decision. She would wait and watch. See just how far Michael had gone to intervene in her life. And then she would decide how to respond to her well-meaning but meddling little brother. The next 2 weeks brought more changes to Rosalind's life. Marcus started his new job at Wright Construction and came home each day energized and proud. Jasmine began the new treatment for her lupus, and though it was too early for major improvements, she seemed stronger already. The college officially announced the raises for administrative staff, along with a new health program that perfectly addressed Jasmine's needs. Rosalind watched it all unfold with a mixture of gratitude and suspicion. She continued working her night cleaning job, though she'd cut back to 3 nights a week. Not ready to give it up entirely, she told herself it was just being cautious. What if all this good fortune disappeared as suddenly as it had arrived? But deep down, she knew the real reason. Admitting she didn't need the second job meant admitting she'd needed help in the first place. On a rainy Wednesday evening, Rosalind was preparing dinner when the doorbell rang. She opened the door to find Michael standing on her porch, basketball in hand. "Thought I'd stop by and shoot some hoops with Jamal," he said casually, as if he dropped by unannounced all the time. In reality, he usually called weeks in advance due to his busy schedule. "He's at practice?" Rosalind said, eyeing her brother suspiciously. "Won't be home for another hour." "Mind if I wait?" Michael stepped past her into the house without waiting for an answer. "Something smells good." "Just spaghetti," Rosalind said, following him to the kitchen. "Nothing fancy." Michael sat at the kitchen table, spinning the basketball on one finger, a habit from childhood that had always annoyed her. "How's everything going?" he asked. "Marcus liking the new job?" "He loves it," Rosalind admitted, turning back to the stove. "It's been good for him to feel useful again." "And Jasmine? Mom mentioned she started some new treatment?" Rosalind stirred the pasta sauce with more force than necessary. "She's doing better. The new medication seems to be helping." "That's great," Michael said, watching her closely. "And what about you? Heard there were some changes at the college, too?" "Raises for the administrative staff," Rosalind confirmed, "and a new health program that covers Jasmine's treatments." "Sounds like everything's coming up roses for the Taylor family," Michael said with a smile. Rosalind put down her spoon and turned to face him. "Awfully convenient timing, don't you think? All these good things happening at once?" Michael shrugged. "Sometimes luck changes all at once." "Luck," Rosalind repeated flatly, "or a certain billionaire brother deciding to meddle in my business." "I don't know what you're talking about," Michael said, but his eyes gave him away. The same guilty look he'd had as a child when he broke their mother's vase and tried to blame the dog. Rosalind was about to press further when Michael suddenly changed the subject. "How's your other job going? The night cleaning gig?" The room went silent. Rosalind froze, wooden spoon dripping sauce onto the floor. She'd never mentioned her second job to anyone in the family. This was as close to a confession as it got. "What did you just say?" she asked quietly. Michael's eyes widened as he realized his mistake. I thought—" "You knew," Rosalind said, her voice barely above a whisper. "You knew I was working nights cleaning offices." Michael opened his mouth, closed it, then tried again. "Roz, how long have you known?" she demanded. Before Michael could answer, the front door opened and Jamal called out, "Mom, practice ended early because of the rain." Rosalind never took her eyes off Michael. "We'll finish this conversation later," she promised in a low voice. Jamal bounded into the kitchen, stopping short when he saw his uncle. "Uncle Mike, what are you doing here?" "Came to shoot some hoops with my favorite nephew," Michael said, recovering quickly. "But it looks like the weather had other ideas." Throughout dinner, Rosalind said little as Jamal excitedly told Michael about his basketball team. She watched her brother interact with her son, noticing how Michael kept glancing at her anxiously. "Good. Let him worry." After dinner, Michael offered to help with dishes, but Rosalind shook her head. "Yada Nahramad Horn. Jamal will help me. Don't you have somewhere important to be?" Michael took the hint and said his goodbyes, promising Jamal they'd play basketball another day when the weather was better. As soon as the door closed behind him, Rosalind turned to her son. "Sit down, Jamal. We need to talk." The teen sank into a chair, his expression wary. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends," Rosalind said, sitting across from him. "I need you to tell me exactly what you told Uncle Mike about my second job." Jamal's face crumpled. "I'm sorry, Mom. I didn't mean to tell him. He called a couple weeks ago, and it just slipped out." "What exactly did you say?" "Just that you were working 2 jobs, Jamal admitted. That you clean offices at night after your college job." He seemed really shocked. "Did you tell him why? About Dad's business? About Jasmine's medical bills?" Jamal nodded miserably. "He kept asking questions, and I was worried about you. You've been so tired, and I thought maybe he could help." Instead of the anger Jamal clearly expected, Rosalind reached across the table and took his hand. I'm not mad at you, sweetie. I just needed to know what he knows. Are you mad at Uncle Mike? Jamal asked. Rosalind considered the question. Was she angry? Yes, but not in the way she would have expected. She was angry that Michael had gone behind her back, but grateful for the help that had come at exactly the right time. I'm complicated at Uncle Mike right now, she finally said. He should have talked to me directly instead of sneaking around. But he helped, right? Dad has a good job now, and Jasmine can get her medicine. Rosalind sighed, out of the mouths of babes. Her son had cut straight to the heart of her dilemma. Did her pride matter more than her family's well-being? Yes, he helped, she acknowledged. I just wish he'd done it differently. Later that night, after Jamal had gone to bed, Rosalind sat alone in the living room thinking about her next move. Part of her wanted to call Michael and confront him directly. Another part wanted to pretend she didn't know what he'd done, to protect her pride. Her phone buzzed with a text from Sharon. Everything okay? You seemed distracted at work today. Rosalind hesitated, then replied, Did you know Michael was behind all this? The job, the raises, Jasmine's treatment. The three dots appeared, disappeared, then appeared again. Finally, Sharon's response came. Through? I promised not to say anything. He was trying to help without hurting your pride. The confirmation of her suspicions should have made Rosalind angry, but instead, she felt a strange relief. At least now she knew for sure. I'm not mad, she texted back, just trying to figure out how to handle it. Maybe just say thank you, Sharon suggested. He loves you, Roz. He just wanted to help his big sister. Rosalind put down her phone without responding. Say thank you? For going behind her back? For making her feel like a charity case? For treating her like she couldn't solve her own problems? But those problems had been solving her family, and she hadn't been able to solve them alone, no matter how hard she'd tried. Rosalind remembered their father's words from long ago. Family is the only ones you can truly count on. But even with family, you give more than you take. She'd been so focused on not taking that she'd forgotten the rest of that lesson. Family was who you could count on when things got tough. As she got ready for bed, Rosalind made a decision. She would quit her night job. The family's finances were stabilizing, and her body needed rest. It wasn't admitting defeat. It was acknowledging that the crisis had passed. She sent a quick email to her supervisor at the cleaning company, giving 2 weeks' notice. As she pressed send, she felt a weight lift from her shoulders. Maybe she would thank Michael someday, but not yet. First, she wanted to see just how far her little brother had gone to help her, and how much he was willing to admit. The next few days passed uneventfully. Rosalind worked her college job during the day and served her notice at the cleaning company at night. She was on her second-to-last night shift when everything changed. The Lakeview office tower was mostly empty when Rosalind arrived at 7 p.m. She signed in with the security guard and headed to her usual starting point on the 5th floor. As she pushed her cleaning cart down the hallway, she heard voices coming from one of the conference rooms. Strange. The building was supposed to be empty by now. Rosalind peeked through the glass door and froze. Michael was sitting at the conference table with Richard Blackwell, the building's owner. Papers were spread across the table between them. Ducking back before they could see her, Rosalind's heart pounded. What was Michael doing here? This couldn't be a coincidence. He had to know this was where she worked. Staying out of sight, she wheeled her cart to the utility closet and closed the door, trying to think. Should she confront him now? Pretend she hadn't seen him? The decision was made for her when her supervisor called. Rosalind, we've got a situation on the 8th floor. Spilled coffee all over the carpet in the main conference room. Can you handle it? On my way, Rosalind replied, grateful for the excuse to avoid the 5th floor for a while. She took the service elevator to the 8th floor and spent the next hour scrubbing the carpet. By the time she finished, surely Michael would be gone. But when she returned to the 5th floor, she saw Michael still sitting in the conference room. Richard had left, and Michael was alone now, looking at his phone. He seemed to be waiting for something. Or someone. With a sinking feeling, Rosalind realized he was waiting for her. He must have found out which building she cleaned and come here deliberately to catch her at her second job. Anger flared inside her. How dare he show up at her workplace? Was he trying to embarrass her? She was about to storm into the conference room when she heard someone call her name. It was Carlos, one of the other night cleaners. "Hey, Rosalind, you know that's Michael Jordan in there, right?" "The Michael Jordan?" Rosalind forced a smile. "Yes, I know who he is." Carlos peered through the glass, starstruck. "What's he doing here so late? The other offices are empty." "I have no idea," Rosalind lied. "Maybe a business meeting?" "Man, I wish I had my basketball with me. I'd ask for an autograph." Carlos lingered, clearly hoping for an introduction. "I need to clean the bathrooms on this floor," Rosalind said. "Can you take care of the West Wing?" Once Carlos was gone, Rosalind decided to avoid the conference room entirely. She wasn't ready to face Michael here, in her gray cleaning uniform with her hair tied back in a bandana. If he wanted to talk, he could call her like a normal person. She finished her shift without encountering her brother, though she spotted him still sitting in the conference room as she cleaned nearby offices. He never came out to find her. Just sat there, occasionally checking his watch. What was he playing at? At 11 p.m., Rosalind packed up her cleaning supplies. She'd successfully avoided Michael all evening. Let him sit there all night if he wanted. She wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of catching her in her cleaning uniform. As she rolled her cart toward the service elevator, she passed Dante, the night security guard, in the hallway. "Leaving already?" he asked. "I thought you usually work until midnight." "Early night," Rosalind said. "Everything's finished." Dante nodded. "Hey, did you see who's in conference room 5C? Michael Jordan! I couldn't believe it when I made my rounds. I asked for his autograph. Hope that's okay." "It's fine," Rosalind said. "He's used to it." "I took a picture too," Dante said excitedly, pulling out his phone. "Look, the GOAT himself, sitting in our building." Rosalind glanced at the photo and frowned. It showed Michael sitting alone in the empty conference room, looking tired and surprisingly vulnerable. Not the superstar athlete or billionaire businessman the world knew. Just a man waiting patiently in an empty building late at night. "He's been there for hours," Dante continued, "just sitting by himself. Kind of weird, right? I mean, what's Michael Jordan doing in an empty office building at night?" "Maybe he's meeting someone," Rosalind suggested. "At 11 p.m.? No way. Something else is going on." Dante studied the photo. "Think I should post this on Twitter? Might go viral." "I don't think," Rosalind started, but Dante was already tapping his screen. "Done!" added the caption. "Why is Michael Jordan sitting alone in an empty office building at 11 p.m.? Pratters. Mystery MJ. Daughter frowns. The GOAT." Dante grinned. "My followers are gonna freak out." Rosalind felt a flutter of panic. "Maybe you shouldn't have done that. It's an invasion of privacy." "He's in a public building," Dante shrugged. "And it's Michael Jordan. Everything he does is news." Rosalind hurried home, a sense of dread building inside her. She didn't understand what Michael had been doing at her workplace, but she had a bad feeling about that photo. The Jordan family had always valued their privacy, especially Michael, who'd spent most of his life in the spotlight. By the time she got home, Dante's tweet had already been shared thousands of times. Mystery MJ was trending locally in Chicago. The next morning, Rosalind woke to texts from Sharon. "Have you seen this? Your brother is all over social media." Attached was Dante's photo, now being shared by sports networks and celebrity accounts. Some were speculating Michael was scouting office space for a new business venture. Others wondered if he was filming a commercial. A few even joked he was planning a basketball comeback and holding secret meetings. No one had connected the photo to Rosalind yet, but it was only a matter of time. Chicago wasn't that big, and people knew Michael had family in the city. At work, everyone was talking about the viral photo. "Why would Michael Jordan be in that building so late?" Rosalind overheard a colleague ask. "Isn't that mostly insurance companies and law firms?" "Maybe he's investing in something," another suggested. "Everything he touches turns to gold." Rosalind kept her head down, trying to focus on her work. At lunch, Sharon pulled her into an empty classroom. "You know he was there because of you, right?" Sharon asked quietly. Rosalind nodded. "I saw him. I was working, but I avoided him." "Why would he come to your cleaning job? That seems risky." "I've been asking myself the same question," Rosalind admitted. "Maybe he wanted to see for himself that I was actually working a second job. Or maybe he was planning to confront me about it." "Well, it's backfired spectacularly," Sharon said, holding up her phone. "The photo has over 1 million shares now. People are playing detective, trying to figure out why he was there." By evening, the story had grown. Sports networks were running segments speculating about Michael's late-night office visit. Social media was full of theories. And then it happened. Someone made the connection. A former college classmate of Rosalind's shared Dante's photo with the EB caption, "Wait, isn't this the building where Rosalind Taylor works her second job? Michael Jordan's sister?" Within hours, a new narrative emerged. Michael Jordan's sister was working as a night janitor, and he had come to visit her at work. Some praised him for his humility, for caring enough about his sister to sit in an empty office building waiting for her. Others criticized him, asking why his sister needed to clean offices at night when he was worth billions. Neither story was completely accurate, but the damage was done. Rosalind's phone rang non-stop. Old friends, distant relatives, reporters looking for comments. She ignored them all. Then came the text from Michael. "I'm so sorry, Roz. This isn't what I intended. Call me." Rosalind didn't call. She was too confused, too angry, too embarrassed. Whatever Michael had been planning that night, it had spiraled, completely out of control. As she put her phone on silent and tried to help Jasmine with homework, ignoring the constant buzzing of incoming messages, Rosalind wondered how this would affect her family. Would reporters start showing up at their house? Would Jamal and Jasmine be harassed at school? Would her co-workers look at her differently now? The doorbell rang, and Rosalind's heart sank. It had already begun. She peeked through the curtains and saw a familiar black SUV in the driveway. Michael's security team. Her brother had come to clean up his mess, but Rosalind wasn't ready to face him yet. She wasn't ready to hear his explanations or apologies. She texted him a single word: "Tomorrow." Then she watched through the window as Michael, sitting in the back of the SUV, received her message. After a moment, the vehicle pulled away from the curb. Tomorrow would be soon enough to deal with this disaster. Tonight, she needed to prepare her family for the storm that was about to hit them, all because her well-meaning but clueless billionaire brother couldn't resist meddling in her life. Rosalind gathered Marcus, Jamal, and Jasmine in the living room. She took a deep breath and explained the situation as calmly as she could. "A photo of Uncle Mike at my workplace has gone viral," she said. "People have figured out that he's my brother and that I work there as a cleaner. This might bring some unwanted attention to our family." "What kind of attention?" Marcus asked, his brow furrowed. "Reporters, maybe. Questions at work and school. Social media posts." Rosalind tried to keep her voice steady. "I want you all to be prepared." "But why does anyone care if you clean offices?" Jasmine asked, confused. Rosalind exchanged a look with Marcus. They'd sheltered the kids from much of their financial struggles, downplaying the severity of the situation. "People think it's strange that Michael Jordan's sister works as a cleaner," Marcus explained gently. "They don't understand that we're proud, hard-working people who handle our own problems." "They think Uncle Mike should just give us money," Jamal said, catching on quickly. "Because he's rich." "Exactly," Rosalind nodded. "But that's not how our family works. That's not how your grandfather raised us." "So what do we do?" Jasmine asked. "We ignore it," Rosalind said firmly. "Don't talk to reporters. Don't respond to social media posts. This will blow over soon enough." But by morning, it was clear the story wasn't going to blow over quickly. When Rosalind turned on her phone, she had over 300 notifications. The story had gone national overnight. Sports Center was running a segment called "The Other Jordan." Michael's sister works 2 jobs. Entertainment websites had dug up old photos of Rosalind from family events, creating slideshows comparing her life to Michael's. Some commentators praised her work ethic, others criticized Michael for allowing his sister to clean offices. Worse, someone had discovered where they lived. When Rosalind looked out the window, she saw 2 news vans parked across the street. "We're staying home today," she announced to the family. "I'll call the school and the college." Marcus put his arm around her shoulders. "We'll get through this. Roz, it's just a bunch of noise." Her phone rang. Michael again. This time, she answered. "I'm sending a car," he said without preamble. "My PR team is setting up a statement. We need to get ahead of this." "I'm not going anywhere," Rosalind replied, her voice cold. "This is your mess, Mike. You fix it." "Roz, please, let me help. This is getting out of control." "Getting out of control? It's already there. There are news vans outside my house. My children can't go to school. My co-workers are probably talking about me right now, all because you couldn't mind your own business." "I was trying to help." "I didn't ask for your help," Rosalind snapped. "I never asked for anything." There was silence on the line. Then Michael spoke quietly. "That's the problem, Roz. You never ask, even when you need it." Rosalind felt tears threatening. "I'm hanging up now. Don't send a car. Don't make any statements. Just leave us alone for a while." She ended the call and turned to find her family watching her with concerned expressions. Jasmine looked close to tears. "Is Uncle Mike in trouble?" she asked. Despite her anger, Rosalind couldn't let her children think badly of their uncle. "No, sweetheart, we're just having a disagreement. Adult stuff." Her phone buzzed with a text from Sharon. "Turn on Channel 7. They're talking about you." With a sense of dread, Rosalind turned on the TV. A local news program was showing Dante's photo of Michael, alongside an old picture of Rosalind from a Jordan Family Foundation event. Sources confirm that Rosalind Taylor, Michael Jordan's older sister, has been working nights as a janitor at the Lakeview office tower while holding a day job at Evergreen Community College. The question everyone's asking, why would the sister of one of the wealthiest athletes in history need to work 2 jobs? The program cut to a financial expert who speculated about the Jordan family dynamics and wealth distribution. Many successful individuals help their families financially, but there can be complicated feelings on both sides. Pride, independence, resentment. Rosalind turned off the TV, feeling sick. Their private family business was being dissected on national television by strangers who knew nothing about them. Her phone kept buzzing with notifications. Curious, she opened Twitter and immediately regretted it. The hashtags Jordan's sister and Tadrichak Tujab Roslin were trending. People were arguing about whether Michael was selfish or whether Roslin was stubborn. Some were creating GoFundMe campaigns for her family without permission. Others were using the story to criticize wealth inequality in America. The worst came when someone uncovered medical fundraising pages that Marcus's mother had quietly set up for Jasmine's treatments months ago. Now those private struggles were also public knowledge. "Mom?" Jamal stood in the doorway, holding his phone. "People are texting me about us. My teammates keep asking if we're poor or if Uncle Mike is mean to us." Roslyn hugged her son tightly. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. People don't understand our family. They're making up stories that aren't true." By afternoon, the situation had escalated further. Michael's publicist had released a brief statement asking for privacy for the Jordan family, which only fueled more speculation. Now people were taking sides, Team Michael versus Team Roslyn, as if their family dynamics were some kind of reality show. Even their mother called, upset after seeing the news. "What's happening between you and Michael? Why am I hearing about my children's problems on television?" Roslyn tried to reassure her, but Dolores Jordan wasn't easily fooled. "You two need to fix this," she said firmly. "Your father would be heartbroken seeing his children at odds like this." The mention of their father hit Roslyn hard. What would James Jordan think of this situation? Of her stubborn pride? Of Michael's well-intentioned meddling? Of their private struggles becoming public entertainment? As the day wore on, Roslyn felt increasingly trapped in her own home. Reporters called her phone constantly. Neighbors texted, asking if she needed anything, some out of genuine concern, others clearly fishing for gossip. Even her boss at the college called to express support during this difficult time, as if she'd suffered a tragedy rather than an invasion of privacy. By evening, the news vans had multiplied. Roslyn kept the curtains closed and ordered pizza delivery for dinner, asking the driver to come to the back door to avoid cameras. As they ate in silence, Marcus's phone rang. He answered, listened for a moment, then his expression changed. "It's for you," he said, holding out the phone to Roslyn. "It's Charles Williams from Wright Construction." Puzzled, Roslyn took the phone. "Hello?" "Mrs. Taylor, I hope I'm not interrupting. I'm calling because, well, this is awkward. But with all the media attention today, some information has come to light that I feel I should address with you directly." Roslyn's stomach dropped. "What information?" "About your brother's involvement in your husband's hiring," Charles said carefully. "I want to assure you that Marcus was hired on his own merits. His experience and qualifications were exactly what we needed. But I'd be lying if I said Michael Jordan's recommendation didn't get his resume to the top of the pile. So there it was. Confirmation of what she'd suspected all along. Michael had arranged Marcus's job. "I see," Roslyn said, her voice tight. "Thank you for your honesty." After hanging up, she told Marcus what Charles had said. To her surprise, her husband didn't seem upset. "I figured as much," he admitted. "The job came too easily. The benefits were too good. But Roz, I've been there almost a month now, and I'm good at it. They would have let me go if I couldn't handle the work." "It doesn't bother you? That Mike pulled strings?" Marcus took her hand. "What bothers me is seeing you work yourself to exhaustion. What bothers me is watching Jasmine suffer because we can't afford the right treatments. If your brother used his connections to help us, I'm grateful." Roslyn was spared from responding when Jamal rushed into the kitchen, his eyes wide. "Mom, someone found your cleaning supervisor and interviewed him on TV. He's saying you got fired last week for missing shifts." "What?" Roslyn grabbed the remote and turned on the news. Sure enough, her former supervisor at the cleaning company was on screen, looking uncomfortable as a reporter thrust a microphone in his face. "She gave notice 2 weeks ago," he was saying. "But then she stopped showing up. I had to let her go. It's nothing personal, but I run a business." Roslyn sank into a chair. She hadn't been fired. She'd called in sick for her last few shifts because of Jasmine's doctor appointments. But now the whole world would think she'd been fired from her cleaning job. Just when she thought things couldn't get worse, her phone buzzed with a text from Sharon. "Check your email. Someone leaked the program details for the new health initiative at the college. Your name is specifically mentioned as a beneficiary." People are connecting dots. Roslyn checked her work email and found a flurry of messages from college administrators, all discussing the leak and how to respond. Someone had published internal documents about the anonymous donation that funded the new health program. Documents that specifically mentioned coverage for lupus treatments. The final piece of the puzzle was in place. Anyone paying attention would now understand exactly how much Michael had orchestrated behind the scenes. As Roslyn put down her phone, she felt a strange calm replace her anger and embarrassment. There was nothing left to hide. No more secrets. Everything was out in the open now. "I need to talk to Michael," she said quietly. "Face to face. Tomorrow." Whatever happened next, Roslyn knew one thing for certain. The relationship between her and her little brother would never be the same again. Morning brought no relief from the media circus. More news vans lined the street. Roslyn's phone had so many notifications that she finally turned it off. The college had called to tell her to take a few days of paid leave until things settled down. At 10 a.m., Roslyn slipped out the back door and cut through neighboring yards to avoid the reporters. She had texted Michael to meet her at a place where they wouldn't be easily spotted: their mother's house. Dolores was visiting relatives in North Carolina, so the house would be empty. When Roslyn arrived, Michael's car was already in the driveway, his security team stationed discreetly in an SUV across the street. She used her key to enter through the side door. Michael was sitting at the kitchen table, a place where the Jordan family had shared countless meals, arguments, and celebrations over the decades. He looked up when she entered, his expression a mixture of relief and apprehension. "Roz," he said, starting to stand. "Stay seated," she said sharply. She took the chair across from him, keeping the table between them like a barrier. "We need to talk." "I'm so sorry about all this," Michael began. "I never meant for—" "I need you to stop talking and listen," Roslyn interrupted. "Really listen." "Michael, can you do that?" Surprised by her tone, Michael nodded. Roslyn took a deep breath. "I know everything now. The job for Marcus, the donation to the college, the health program for Jasmine, all of it." Michael didn't deny it. "I was trying to help." "Help?" Roslyn felt her carefully controlled anger bubbling to the surface. "You went behind my back. You manipulated my life. You made decisions for me and my family without our knowledge or consent. Because you wouldn't ask for help." Michael's voice rose to match hers. "You were working yourself to death, Roz. Your daughter was sick, your husband was depressed, and you were too damn proud to pick up the phone and call your brother, who has more money than he knows what to do with." "It wasn't about the money." Roslyn slapped her palm on the table. It was about respect. Respect for my choices, for my independence, for my ability to handle my own problems. Even if those choices were hurting you, Michael challenged. Even if your independence meant working 2 jobs while your health suffered? Even if handling your problems alone meant Jasmine couldn't get the treatment she needed? The direct hit about Jasmine made Rosalind flinch. That's not fair. None of this is fair, Michael said, his voice softening. It's not fair that Marcus's business failed. It's not fair that Jasmine got sick. It's not fair that you had to clean offices at night instead of being home with your family. But you know what else isn't fair? That I have billions of dollars while my sister struggles to keep her family afloat. Rosalind looked away, unwilling to let him see the tears forming in her eyes. You don't get it, Mike. This isn't just about money. Then explain it to me, he said. Help me understand. Rosalind gathered her thoughts, trying to articulate feelings she'd never fully expressed. When you became famous, she began slowly. Everything changed. Not just for you, but for all of us. We became Michael Jordan's family instead of just the Jordans. People looked at us differently, treated us differently. Some expected handouts just because we were related to you. Michael nodded. He'd seen this happen with many NBA players' families. I decided early on that I wouldn't be that person, Rosalind continued. I wouldn't be the sister living off her famous brother's money. I would make my own way, just like Dad taught us. Dad also taught us that family takes care of family, Michael pointed out. He would have wanted me to help you? Maybe, Rosalind conceded. But he would have wanted you to do it openly, honestly, not sneaking around behind my back. Michael had the grace to look ashamed. I knew you'd refuse if I offered directly. So, you decided to trick me instead? To manipulate my life like I'm a character in one of your video games? That's not fair. And then, Rosalind continued, her voice rising again, you showed up at my workplace. Do you have any idea how humiliating that was? To know my billionaire brother saw me cleaning offices in a gray uniform with my name stitched on the pocket? I wasn't there to humiliate you, Michael protested. I wanted to talk to you, to explain everything. I thought if I caught you there, you'd have to listen. And instead, your picture went viral, Rosalind said bitterly. Now, the whole world is talking about poor Rosalind Jordan, scrubbing toilets while her brother flies around in private jets. I never wanted that, Michael said quietly. I never wanted any of this to become public. The fight suddenly drained out of Rosalind. She felt tired, so tired of it all. The struggling, the hiding, the pretending everything was fine. I know you meant well, she admitted. But Mike, you've always done this, taken over, fixed things your way without asking what others want. On the basketball court, that made you a champion. In real life, it makes you a bully sometimes. Michael flinched as if she'd struck him. A bully? Is that how you see me? Not always, Rosalind said. But in this situation? Yes. You decided what was best for me and my family without consulting us. You used your money and influence to rearrange our lives according to your plan. How is that different from bullying? They sat in silence for a long moment. The ticking of their mother's kitchen, clock the only sound. This house held so many memories for both of them, from childhood squabbles to adult conversations, all under the watchful eyes of their parents. Remember when Dad used to make us talk out our fights right here at this table? Michael finally said. He'd sit between us and make us say what we were really mad about. Despite herself, Rosalind smiled faintly. And he wouldn't let us leave until we'd sorted it out. He always said, "Anger is just hurt, wearing a disguise," Michael recalled. "So tell me, Roz, behind the anger, what's really hurting you about all this?" The question caught Rosalind off guard. She stared at her brother, seeing past the celebrity, the billionaire, the legend, just her little brother Mike, asking her to be honest. "I'm hurt that you didn't trust me to handle my own problems," she said finally. "I'm hurt that you saw me as someone to be rescued rather than respected. And I'm hurt that after all these years, you still don't understand that my independence isn't about pride. It's about knowing who I am apart from being Michael Jordan's sister." Michael nodded slowly. "I get that. But can you understand my side too? Can you understand how it feels to have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes while watching my sister work 2 jobs? How it feels to know I could solve your problems with a phone call, but you won't let me help?" For the first time, Rosalind considered how her independence might look from Michael's perspective. Not as strength, but as rejection. "I never thought about it that way," she admitted. "Being able to help the people I love is the best part of having money," Michael said. "When you refuse my help, it feels like you're refusing my love." The words hung in the air between them. Rosalind had never considered that her brother might be hurt by her independence, might see it as pushing him away rather than standing on her own. "I never meant to hurt you," she said softly. "I just needed to know I could handle things on my own." "But why, Roz? Why is it so important to do everything alone?" Rosalind struggled to articulate feelings she'd carried for decades. Because when you became famous, everything I did was overshadowed. I was always Michael's sister, never just Rosalind. I needed to prove to myself, maybe more than anyone, that I had value on my own terms. Understanding dawned in Michael's eyes. "I never knew you felt that way. How could you? We never talked about it. The Jordans don't talk about feelings, remember?" Rosalind laughed weakly. "Maybe that's our real problem," Michael said. "Not the money, or the fame, or the pride. Just that we never learned how to really talk to each other." They sat in silence again, but it was different now. Less tense, more thoughtful. Outside, birds sang in their mother's garden, oblivious to the human drama unfolding inside. "So where do we go from here?" Michael finally asked. "The damage is done. The story is out there. People know you were working 2 jobs, and they know I helped arrange things for your family." "I don't know," Rosalind admitted. "I can't go back to the cleaning job, that's for sure. And I'm not sure I can face people at the college yet." "What do you want, Roz? Forget about pride. Forget about what Dad would say. Forget about what people might think. What do you actually want?" It was such a simple question. But Rosalind realized no one had asked her that in a very long time. She'd been so focused on what her family needed, on what she should do, that she'd forgotten to consider what she wanted. "I want my daughter to be healthy," she said slowly. "I want my husband to feel proud and productive again. I want my son to have opportunities. And I want—" She hesitated, then continued, "I want to stop being so tired all the time. I want to sleep through the night without worrying about bills." Michael reached across the table and took her hand. "Then let me help. Not by going behind your back, but openly, as your brother. We'll figure it out together." Rosalind looked at their clasped hands, her own showing signs of years of hard work, his still bearing calluses from a basketball that had made him a legend. Different paths, different lives, but the same blood ran through their veins. The same parents had raised them with the same values. "Okay," she said finally, "but we do it my way this time. No more secret plans, no more pulling strings without telling me. We make decisions together, as equals. Michael nodded, a tentative smile forming. Deal. As they stood to leave, Rosalind knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The media frenzy wouldn't disappear overnight. There would be awkward conversations with friends, co-workers, and other family members. But for the first time in months, she felt like she wasn't carrying the weight alone. Sometimes, she realized the truly strong thing to do wasn't to reject help, but to accept it on your own terms. After leaving their mother's house, Michael and Rosalind agreed they needed to involve the rest of the family. This wasn't just about the two of them anymore. The media attention had affected everyone with the Jordan name. "I'll call Mom," Michael said. "She should be here for this." "I'll contact Larry, James, and Ronnie," Rosalind added. "We need everyone." They arranged to meet at Michael's Chicago home the following evening. His gated property would keep the press at bay, giving the family privacy to speak freely. That night, Rosalind explained the plan to Marcus and the kids. "We're going to have a family meeting tomorrow," she said. "The whole Jordan clan to figure out how to handle this situation." "All the Jordans in one place?" Jamal looked excited. "That never happens except at Christmas." "Are you and Uncle Mike still fighting?" Jasmine asked quietly. Rosalind considered the question. "We're working things out. It's complicated, but we're talking now. Really talking." "Good," Jasmine said. "I hate when you're mad at each other." The next evening, Marcus drove the family to Michael's lakefront mansion. Security guards waved them through the gate, past a small group of photographers camped on the public street. Inside, Rosalind was surprised to find her mother already there, sitting in Michael's living room. Dolores Jordan had cut her North Carolina visit short to be with her children. "Mom!" Rosalind hugged her tightly. "I thought you were staying with Aunt Sarah until next week? And miss my children needing me?" Dolores raised an eyebrow. I raised, "You better than to think I'd stay away when my family is in trouble." Within the hour, the entire Jordan family had gathered. Larry, James Jr., Ronnie with his wife, and of course, Michael and Rosalind with their families. It was rare to have all 5 Jordan siblings in one place outside of holidays. Michael's staff served dinner, then discreetly withdrew, leaving the family alone. Around the large dining table, the Jordans fell into familiar patterns. James Jr. telling jokes, Larry arguing sports with Michael, Ronnie's wife showing photos of their grandkids. For a brief time, it felt like any other family gathering, but eventually, Dolores tapped her glass with a spoon, calling everyone to attention. "We all know why we're here," she said, her voice firm despite her 79 years. "There's a situation that needs addressing, and we're going to address it as a family." All eyes turned to Michael and Rosalind. Michael nodded to his sister, letting her speak first. Rosalind took a deep breath and told her story. The whole story. Marcus's business failure, Jasmine's illness, the mounting medical bills, the second job cleaning offices. She left nothing out, including her determination to handle it all without asking for help. "I should have told you all," she admitted. "But I was ashamed, I guess. We Jordans are supposed to be strong." "Shame had nothing to do with strength," Dolores said gently. "Your father and I never taught you that struggling alone makes you strong." "I didn't want to be a burden," Rosalind continued, "especially to Mike. People already think we live off his money." "Who cares what people think?" Larry interrupted. "We're family." Next, Michael explained his side, discovering Rosalind's situation, deciding to help behind the scenes, and his failed attempt to talk to her at her workplace that led to the viral photo. "I should have been direct," he acknowledged. Going behind. Rosalind's back was wrong, even with good intentions. When both had finished, silence fell over the table. Then James Jr., always the peacemaker among the siblings, spoke up. "You know what? You're both acting like Dad." He shook his head with a wry smile. "Roz has his pride and stubbornness. Mike has his fix-it-now, ask questions later approach." The comparison broke the tension, drawing smiles and nods around the table. "He's right," Larry agreed. "Remember how Dad would try to fix everything himself? The car, the plumbing, even though he wasn't really a mechanic or a plumber. And remember how mad he'd get if anyone suggested calling a professional," Ronnie added. "He'd rather spend 3 days on a 30-minute job than admit he needed help." Laughter rippled through the family. James Jordan's stubborn self-reliance was legendary among his children. "I was just as bad," Dolores admitted, surprising everyone. "When your father died, I refused grief counseling, said I could handle it myself. Finally, my doctor made me go, said it wasn't just about me, but about being there for my children." She looked directly at Rosalind. "Sometimes accepting help is about the people who love you, not just about yourself." Rosalind had never heard this story before. She'd always seen her mother as a pillar of strength after her father's death. The idea that Dolores had struggled too, had needed help, but resisted it, was eye-opening. "I've needed help too," Ronnie said quietly. "Back in 2008, when the housing market crashed, my construction business took a big hit. I almost lost everything." "You never said anything." Rosalind looked at her twin in surprise. "Pride?" Ronnie shrugged. "Jordan pride. But Mike found out somehow." He glanced at their brother. "A business associate suddenly offered me a contract that saved my company. Took me 2 years to figure out Mike was behind it." Michael looked slightly embarrassed. "You never said anything either." "I was grateful," Ronnie said simply. "Once I got over being mad that you went behind my back." One by one, similar stories emerged around the table. Larry had received an anonymous scholarship for his daughter when college tuition became a struggle. James Jr. had mysteriously been offered a job when his company downsized. In each case, the siblings eventually traced the help back to Michael. "So I'm not the only one," Rosalind realized, looking around at her brothers. "He's been playing guardian angel for all of you too." "He can't help himself," Larry laughed. "It's how he shows love. Some people give hugs, Mike gives opportunities. And some people need to learn to receive," Dolores added, reaching for Rosalind's hand. "Giving others the chance to help you is a gift to them, not just to yourself." Rosalind thought about this. Had her independence actually been selfish in some ways? Had she denied Michael and others the opportunity to care for her family because of her pride? "I think Dad would have struggled with this too," she said finally. "He was so focused on self-reliance." "Your father was a proud man," Dolores agreed, "but he accepted help when it truly mattered." "Who do you think helped us with the down payment for our first house? His brother loaned us the money, and your father swallowed his pride because he wanted a safe home for his family." This was another story Rosalind had never heard. The family mythology of James Jordan had always emphasized his independence, not the moments when he'd accepted help. "So what now?" James Jr. asked, bringing the conversation back to the present situation. "The media's still camped outside all our houses. Everyone's talking about the Jordan sister who cleans offices while her billionaire brother does nothing." "We need a unified response," Michael said. "Not just from me and Roz, but from all of us." They spent the next hour crafting a statement that felt true to the Jordan family values while addressing the public's curiosity. It would acknowledge Rosalind's work ethic and Michael's desire to help, while emphasizing that family matters should remain private. As they worked together, something shifted in the family dynamic. Old patterns of communication fell away as they listened to each other with new understanding. Michael held back his natural tendency to take control. Rosalind openly shared her concerns rather than keeping them inside. By the end of the evening, they had not just a statement, but a new understanding of what it meant to be a Jordan. It wasn't just about pride and independence, as they'd always believed. It was also about supporting each other, about knowing when to give help and when to receive it. As the family prepared to leave, Rosalind found herself standing with Michael and their mother in the kitchen. "You two remind me so much of each other," Dolores said, looking between her children. "Both so stubborn, both so determined to do things your own way. Your father would be proud of your strength, but he'd also tell you to lean on each other more." "We're working on it, Mom," Michael said, glancing at Rosalind. "One day at a time," Rosalind agreed. Driving home with her family, Rosalind felt lighter than she had in months. The Jordan siblings had always been close, but there had been barriers, too. Things they didn't discuss, struggles they didn't share. Today had changed that. "You okay?" Marcus asked, reaching for her hand across the car console. "Better than okay," Rosalind replied. "For the first time in a long time, I feel like I'm not carrying everything alone." In the back seat, Jasmine had fallen asleep, her face peaceful. The new treatment was working. Her doctors were optimistic. Jamal was texting with his cousins, making plans to play basketball with them next weekend. Life wasn't perfect. The media would still be interested in their story for a while. There would be awkward questions at work and school. But somehow, it all seemed manageable now that the secrets were out in the open. As they pulled into their driveway, Rosalind thought about something her father used to say. "A Jordan never stands alone." She'd always interpreted it as a warning to be strong, to handle your own problems. Now she understood he might have meant something different, that no Jordan ever had to stand alone, because family would always be there to help shoulder the burden. The family statement was released the next morning. It was simple and dignified. The Jordan family appreciates the concern shown by many regarding recent media stories. Rosalind Taylor is proud of her work ethic, as are all the Jordans. Michael Jordan is proud of his sister and all she does for her family. The Jordans are a close family who support each other in ways that honor both independence and togetherness. We ask for privacy as we continue to handle our family matters privately, as all families should be able to do. The statement was carefully worded to neither confirm nor deny specific details about Rosalind's jobs or Michael's assistance. It redirected the conversation from gossip to values, work ethic, family support, and privacy. Media interest didn't disappear overnight, but the tone of the coverage shifted. Sports commentators who had criticized Michael now praised the family's unity. News outlets that had painted Rosalind as a victim now described her as embodying the Jordan work ethic. 3 days after the family meeting, Michael invited Rosalind to lunch at a quiet restaurant where they could talk privately. "I've been thinking," he said after they ordered, "about how to move forward in a way that respects your independence, but still lets me help." Rosalind nodded. "I've been thinking too. I'm ready to accept some help, but I need it to be on terms I can live with." Michael smiled. "That's exactly what I was hoping you'd say." He pulled out a folder and placed it on the table between them. "This is an idea I've been working on for a while, even before I knew about your situation. I'd like you to look it over and tell me what you think." Inside was a proposal for a new scholarship foundation named after their father, the James Jordan Legacy Foundation. Its mission would be to provide educational opportunities for working parents and their children, with a special focus on families affected by chronic illness. "It's perfect," Rosalind said, scanning the documents. "Dad would have loved this." "There's more," Michael said. "The foundation needs a director, someone with administrative experience, someone who understands what working families go through, someone with the Jordan name and values." Rosalind looked up, understanding dawning. "You want me to run it?" "Only if you want to," Michael said quickly. "It would be a real job with a real salary, not a handout. You're qualified, Roz. Your experience at the college, your organizational skills. You'd be perfect for it. And the fact that I'm your sister is why I'd trust you with the foundation, but not why you'd be good at running it," Michael answered. "That's all you." Rosalind considered the proposal. It would allow her to leave her administrative job for meaningful work that could help families like hers. The salary listed was generous, but not extravagant, appropriate for an executive director of a foundation. Most importantly, it wasn't charity. It was an opportunity to use her skills and experiences to help others while honoring their father's memory. "I'd want to finish the semester at the college," she said finally. "I can't leave them in the lurch." Michael nodded, trying not to smile too broadly. "Of course. We'd need a few months to set everything up anyway. And I'd want input on the foundation's structure and programs," Rosalind continued. "If I'm running it, I need to believe in what we're doing." "It would be your show to run," Michael assured her. "I'd be the funder, not the boss." Rosalind felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. This solution honored both her need for meaningful work and Michael's desire to help. It wasn't just about money, it was about creating something meaningful together. "What about Marcus?" she asked. "He's happy at Wright Construction, but I know he misses having his own business." Michael had thought of this too. "I've been talking with some business professors at Northwestern. They run an entrepreneurship program for experienced contractors who want to rebuild after setbacks. It includes certification courses, business classes, and mentoring. If Marcus is interested, they'd welcome him." "That sounds perfect for him," Rosalind admitted. "He needs to feel like he's building something again, not just working for someone else." They spent the next hour refining the plan, each offering ideas, listening to the other's concerns. For the first time in their adult lives, they were truly collaborating as equals. By the time lunch ended, they had the framework of a solution that respected Rosalind's independence while allowing Michael to provide meaningful support. Not a handout, but a partnership. When Rosalind got home, she explained the foundation idea to Marcus. His reaction surprised her. "I've been waiting for you to accept something like this," he said. "Not for the money, but because you deserve work that matches your abilities." "You're not disappointed that I'd leave the college?" Rosalind asked. Marcus laughed. "Disappointed? Roz, you've been overqualified for that job for years. You've been managing our entire family life, working 2 jobs, handling Jasmine's medical care, and keeping everyone's spirits up. Running a foundation is exactly what you should be doing." The entrepreneurship program appealed to him too. "I made mistakes with my first business," he admitted. "Things I should have done differently. This is a chance to learn from those mistakes, instead of just moving on." Over the next few weeks, the plan came together. Rosalind gave notice at the college, agreeing to stay until the end of the semester. Michael's legal team drafted the foundation documents, with Rosalind reviewing and revising them to reflect her vision. Marcus enrolled in the entrepreneurship program, attending evening classes twice a week. He came home energized, full of ideas, and new confidence. Even the children were thriving. Jasmine's new treatment was working well. Her doctors were optimistic about long-term remission. Jamal's basketball team made the regional finals. with both Michael and Roslyn cheering in the stands. The media eventually lost interest as new celebrities and scandals captured public attention. The reporters outside their house dwindled and finally disappeared. Life began returning to normal, a new normal that felt healthier than before. On Roslyn's last day at the college, her co-workers threw a surprise party. Sharon hugged her tightly, whispering, "I'm so proud of you for accepting this opportunity. It takes more courage to accept help than to refuse it sometimes." The following Monday, Roslyn walked into the small office space Michael had rented for the foundation. It wasn't fancy, just 3 rooms in a professional building, but it was a fresh start. Her nameplate on the door read, "Roslyn Taylor, Executive Director." Not Michael Jordan's sister. Just her name and her title, earned on her own merits. Michael visited that afternoon, bringing lunch and a small gift, a framed photo of their father. "For your desk," he said, "to remind us both why we're doing this." Roslyn placed the photo where she could see it while she worked. James Jordan's kind eyes and proud smile would watch over this new chapter in her life. "He'd like this," she said. "Us working together, helping other families. He'd like it even more that you're finally letting me help you," Michael said with a grin. Roslyn laughed and threw a paper clip at him. Some things between siblings never changed, no matter how old they got. That evening, Roslyn cleaned out, her cleaning uniform and work badge from her closet. She wouldn't need them anymore. As she folded the gray shirt with citywide janitorial stitched on the pocket, she felt no shame, only pride in having done whatever was necessary to take care of her family. She placed the uniform in a memory box rather than throwing it away. Someday, she might show it to her grandchildren and tell them the story of how their grandmother worked 2 jobs and how their great-uncle learned that helping family was about respect, not just resources. The journey had been painful and public, in ways she never would have chosen. But the destination, this new understanding between her and Michael, this new path forward for her family, made the difficult road worthwhile. While the media frenzy had quieted down, interest in the Jordan siblings' story hadn't completely disappeared. Reporters still occasionally called, and social media continued to speculate about the details behind the viral photo. The brief family statement had provided some privacy, but had not fully addressed public curiosity. 1 month after Roslyn started her new role at the foundation, Michael's publicist called with news that Sports Illustrated wanted to do a feature story about the Jordan family. "They're going to write about you and Michael either way," the publicist explained. "This is a chance to shape the narrative yourselves." Michael asked Roslyn to meet him for lunch to discuss the request. "What do you think?" he asked, sliding the reporter's email across the table. "Should we do it?" Roslyn read the message carefully. The magazine wasn't interested in sensationalism. They wanted to explore themes of family, pride, and the complexities of wealth and fame. "Maybe it's time," Roslyn said thoughtfully. "Not to share everything, but to address it on our own terms." "That's what I was thinking," Michael agreed. "But I won't do it without you. This is your story, too." Together, they crafted conditions for the interview. No photographs inside either of their homes. No interviews with their children. Questions about Jasmine's health would be off limits, and they would have final approval on the article. To their surprise, the magazine agreed to all terms. A week later, they met the reporter, Lisa Chen, at Michael's office. "Thank you for agreeing to this interview," Lisa began. "I know you've both been private about what happened." "We're still private people," Michael said, "but we understand there's public interest in our story." "And misunderstandings we'd like to clear up," Roslyn added. Lisa nodded. Let's start with the basics. Roslyn, were you working 2 jobs? And Michael, did you know about it? Over the next 2 hours, the siblings shared their story. Not all of it, but enough to provide context. Roslyn explained her administrative role at the college and her temporary second job cleaning offices. Michael described learning about her situation and wanting to help. The viral photo. What really happened that night? Lisa asked. Michael and Roslyn exchanged glances. I went to talk to Roslyn, Michael explained. I'd arranged some things to help her family, but without discussing it with her first. I thought if I caught her at work, she'd have to listen to me. And I was deliberately avoiding him, Roslyn admitted with a small smile. I knew something was up, and I wasn't ready to confront it. So the photo caught you waiting for your sister? Exactly, Michael nodded. Nothing dramatic or mysterious. Just a brother trying to talk to his sister at an inconvenient time. They shared just enough about the financial challenges Roslyn's family had faced, Marcus's business closing, health expenses for Jasmine, to explain why she had taken a second job. They emphasized that these were challenges many American families dealt with. The response to the photo surprised us both, Roslyn said. People either criticized Michael for not supporting me, or they pitied me as some kind of victim. Neither was accurate. What was accurate? Lisa asked. Roslyn considered the question. That families are complicated. That pride can sometimes get in the way of common sense. That asking for help can be harder than working yourself to exhaustion. And that sometimes you need to let the people who love you show their love in their own way, Michael added. As the interview continued, they found themselves sharing deeper reflections about family values and lessons learned. Not because the EHG reporter pushed, but because they were ready to articulate what the experience had taught them. Our father raised us to be independent, Roslyn explained. He worked hard his whole life and taught us to do the same. In my mind, accepting help meant failing him somehow. And I was raised with the same values, Michael continued, but success gave me different opportunities to express them. For me, helping family wasn't charity. It was exactly what Dad would have wanted me to do with the blessings I've received. We were interpreting the same lessons differently, Roslyn concluded, both trying to honor our father's memory in our own ways. Lisa nodded thoughtfully. And now? How have things changed between you? We talk more, Michael said simply. Really talk, not just about basketball scores or family gossip. And I'm learning that independence doesn't mean isolation, Roslyn added. That letting others help isn't weakness. They ended the interview by discussing the new foundation, its mission to support working families, especially those dealing with chronic illness. Roslyn described her vision for the programs without mentioning that she now directed it. One last question, Lisa said as they were wrapping up. What would you want people to take away from your story? The siblings looked at each other, silently deciding who should answer. That dignity comes in many forms, Roslyn said finally. There's dignity in hard work, yes, but there's also dignity in accepting help from those who love you, in letting your family be your family. And that wealth creates opportunity, but not just to buy things, Michael added. The opportunity to help others is the real blessing. When people refuse that opportunity, it hurts both sides. After the reporter left, Michael and Roslyn sat together in silence for a moment. Think we said too much? Michael asked. No, Roslyn shook her head. I think we said just enough. The article was published 3 weeks later. The magazine had honored their agreement, focusing on the themes of family bonds and shared values rather than sensationalism. The headline read, "The Jordan Code, How Basketball's Greatest and His Sister Redefined Family Strength." The story sparked conversations nationwide about family pride, independence, and the true meaning of success. Financial advisors cited it when discussing how wealthy individuals could help family members without creating dependency. Mental health experts praised its honest portrayal of the complicated emotions surrounding asking for and accepting help. The most meaningful response came from ordinary people who recognized their own family dynamics in the Jordan siblings' story. Social media filled with comments from people inspired to reach out to family members they'd been too proud to ask for help or to offer support to loved ones struggling in silence. When Roslyn arrived at the foundation office the morning after, the article was published. She found a simple note on her desk in Michael's handwriting. "You said it better than I ever could. Dad would be proud of us both. MJ." She tucked the note into the frame holding their father's photo. Two sides of James Jordan's legacy, Roslyn's work ethic and Michael's generosity, had finally found harmony. That evening, Roslyn received a call from a woman whose daughter had lupus, just like Jasmine. The woman had read the Sports Illustrated article and found comfort knowing that even the Jordans faced such challenges. If Michael Jordan's sister can admit she needed help, the woman said, "Maybe I can too." As Roslyn hung up, she realized that their private family matter, painfully exposed though it had been, had become something more. By sharing their story, they'd given others permission to face their own struggles with new perspective. Sometimes, the most personal experiences, when shared with honesty, became the most universal. In the weeks following the Sports Illustrated article, Roslyn was surprised by how many people reached out to her. Not just lupus patients and their families, but people from all walks of life who saw themselves in different aspects of her story. Single mothers working multiple jobs, proud individuals struggling to accept help, siblings navigating complicated relationships, families dealing with chronic illness. Letters and emails poured into the foundation office. Some shared similar stories of working two jobs to make ends meet. Others described the challenge of accepting help from family members. Many thanked the Jordans for their honesty about topics that were often kept hidden: financial struggles, family tensions, pride versus practicality. "I never expected this response," Roslyn told Michael over lunch. "These people are sharing their deepest struggles with me. A complete stranger." "Not a stranger," Michael corrected. "Someone who understands." That's what they're responding to. The feeling that if Roslyn Jordan Taylor gets it, maybe they're not alone. The foundation, which had been Michael's idea to help Roslyn, was becoming something much bigger. As requests for assistance grew, Roslyn hired 2 staff members to help manage the programs. They focused on 3 key areas: education for working parents, support for families dealing with chronic illness, and emergency assistance for those facing temporary financial crises. Michael found himself fielding questions about the foundation in interviews that were supposed to be about basketball or business. Sports networks that had initially criticized him now praised the initiative. The narrative had shifted from "Why doesn't Michael help his sister?" to "Look how the Jordans are helping thousands of families like theirs." Even more meaningful was how their story had sparked conversations within other families. Roslyn received messages from people who had finally asked siblings or parents for help after years of struggling alone. Others wrote about offering assistance to family members in ways that preserved dignity rather than creating dependency. "We've started something important," Roslyn told her family over dinner. "Something bigger than just our situation. All because Uncle Mike got caught waiting for you at your cleaning job," Jamal said with a grin. The foundation's first major fundraising event was held 6 months after the viral photo. Michael and Roslyn co-hosted, sharing the stage as equals. When Roslyn stepped to the microphone to tell her story, the room fell silent. A year ago, I was working 2 jobs and hiding my struggles from everyone, including my brother, she began. Today, I'm directing a foundation that has already helped over 300 families facing similar challenges. She described the pride that had kept her from asking for help, the exhaustion of working day and night, and the fear of watching her daughter battle a chronic illness while wondering how to pay for treatments. What I've learned, she continued, is that strength comes in many forms. Sometimes it's working through the night to provide for your family. Sometimes it's swallowing your pride and accepting help. And sometimes it's using your own experience to help others. By the end of the evening, the foundation had raised over $2 million, far exceeding their goal. Corporations pledged support, celebrities offered endorsements, and ordinary people donated what they could. But the impact went beyond money. Community colleges nationwide began examining their employee assistance programs, inspired by the Jordan story. Medical centers looked at ways to better support families dealing with chronic illness. Companies reviewed their family leave policies and health benefits. The viral moment that had once mortified Roslyn had become a catalyst for genuine change. Marcus experienced changes too. The entrepreneurship program helped him develop a new business model focusing on eco-friendly renovations. With his new certifications and business training, he secured a small business loan without Michael's help and launched Taylor Green Contracting. "I couldn't have done this a year ago," he told Roslyn. "I was too beaten down by failure, too focused on what I'd lost. The program gave me new skills, but more importantly, it gave me back my confidence." Jasmine's health continued to improve. With the new treatments, her doctors were optimistic about long-term remission. At 15, she was blogging about her experience with lupus, connecting with other teens facing chronic illness. Jamal thrived too, making the varsity basketball team as a junior. Michael attended games when his schedule allowed, sitting quietly in the stands like any proud uncle. If other spectators recognized him, they respected his privacy, allowing him to be family first, celebrity second. The relationship between Michael and Roslyn evolved as well. The old patterns, her stubborn independence, his take-charge approach, didn't disappear entirely, but they found a healthier balance. They spoke weekly, not just about family matters or the foundation, but about their lives, their hopes, their thoughts on everything from politics to parenting. 1 year after the viral photo, Roslyn received a special delivery at the foundation office, a small wooden box with Michael's basketball logo engraved on top. Inside was a folding chair, miniature but perfectly detailed, with a note. A reminder that waiting for you was worth it. Love, Mike. Roslyn laughed and placed the tiny chair on her desk beside their father's photo. The simple gift acknowledged their journey with humor and affection. That evening, she attended a community college event where a student was receiving the first James Jordan Memorial Scholarship, a young mother working full-time while pursuing her degree. As Roslyn presented the award, she saw in the woman's eyes the same determination she had felt cleaning offices late at night. "This scholarship isn't charity," Roslyn told her. "It's recognition of your hard work and potential. My father believed education was the key to independence, and he would be proud to have his name associated with your journey." As she drove home, Roslyn reflected on how much had changed in a year. The struggles hadn't been erased. Marcus's business was still growing. Jasmine still had lupus, but they no longer faced these challenges alone or in silence. The Jordan family had always valued strength and independence. Now they had expanded those values to include supporting others and accepting support in return. Their private family matter had become a public conversation that helped countless others. Sometimes, Roslyn thought, the most painful moments led to the most meaningful growth. And sometimes, what seemed like the end of the story was really just the beginning. 18 months after the viral photo changed their lives, Michael invited Rosalind to lunch at his favorite Chicago steakhouse. Though they now spoke regularly and worked together on the foundation, something about his invitation seemed different, more formal. "I have something important to discuss," he said over the phone. "Something I should have told you a long time." "I'll go." Curious and slightly concerned, Rosalind agreed to meet him. When she arrived at the restaurant, Michael was already seated in a private room at the back, away from curious eyes and cell phone cameras. "Everything okay?" she asked, sliding into the booth. "Everything's great," Michael assured her. "But there's something about that night, the night of the photo, that I never told you." Rosalind felt a flutter of apprehension. "What do you mean?" Michael took a deep breath. "I wasn't at the Lakeview office tower just to talk to you about the jobs and the health program. That was part of it, but not the main reason." "Then why were you there?" Rosalind asked, confused. "I was meeting with Richard Blackwell to finalize the purchase of the building." Rosalind stared at him. "You bought the building? Why?" "Because it was failing," Michael explained. Like a lot of office buildings after the pandemic, the Lakeview Tower was struggling with low occupancy rates. Richard was considering shutting it down or converting it to condos. And that mattered to you because of what I wanted to do with it. Michael opened his briefcase and handed Rosalind a folder. "This is what I was really working on that night." Inside was a detailed proposal for the Jordan Family Business Center, a community-focused redevelopment of the Lakeview office tower. The plans showed the aging office building transformed into a vibrant hub for minority-owned small businesses, with affordable office space, shared resources, meeting rooms, and in-house business support services. "I don't understand," Rosalind said, flipping through the architectural renderings. "You bought an entire office building just because I worked there?" Michael shook his head. "Not exactly. I'd been looking for the right property for this project for months. When I found out you were working at Lakeview Tower, I looked into it and discovered it was exactly what I needed. The right size, the right location, and in need of a buyer who could revitalize it." "So it was just a coincidence?" "I don't believe in coincidences," Michael said with a small smile. "It felt like Dad was guiding the whole thing." Rosalind continued reading through the proposal, her confusion turning to understanding. "You were planning to create jobs and support local businesses all along, and I wanted you to help lead it," Michael confirmed. "That was what I was going to tell you that night, that I was buying the building and wanted you to help develop the small business support program. I thought it would be the perfect way to offer you meaningful work without it feeling like charity. Why didn't you tell me this when everything blew up? When the photo went viral?" Michael sighed. "Because it got complicated. Once the media turned it into a story about me not helping you financially, revealing that I was buying a $50 million building seemed like it would just add fuel to the fire. Then we established the foundation, and it didn't seem necessary to bring it up. Until now," Rosalind noted. "Why tell me now?" "Because the renovation is complete," Michael said, turning to the last page in the folder. "We're ready for the grand opening next month." The final page was an invitation to the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Jordan Family Business Center, with Rosalind listed as a special guest. "I want you there," Michael said, "not just as my sister, but because this project was always meant to include you." Rosalind felt a complex mix of emotions: surprise, confusion, a touch of the old anger at Michael making plans that involved her without consultation. But those feelings were overshadowed by a deeper understanding of her brother's intentions. "The night of the photo," she said slowly. You weren't just waiting to confront me about working 2 jobs. You were there for a $50 million real estate deal, and you were planning to offer me a position running part of it." "Exactly," Michael nodded. "The foundation was Plan B, thrown together after the photo went viral. This was the original plan. And all this time, no one knew. Not even when the media was digging into every aspect of our lives." Richard Blackwell kept his word about keeping the deal confidential. The purchase was made through a holding company. Only a few people knew I was the actual buyer. Rosalind shook her head in amazement. "All those stories about why you were in that building, all those theories, and no one guessed you were actually there to buy it." "The truth was hiding in plain sight," Michael agreed. "People were so focused on the drama of you working 2 jobs that they missed the bigger picture." As they continued their lunch, Michael explained more about the business center. It would provide affordable space for 30 small businesses, with priority given to minority and women entrepreneurs. On-site support would include legal services, marketing assistance, and mentoring programs. The goal was to help local business owners avoid the pitfalls that had caused Marcus's company to fail. "I'd still like you to be involved," Michael said. "The foundation is doing great work, but this project needs someone with your perspective too." "My perspective?" "Someone who understands what it's like to struggle, to work multiple jobs, to worry about providing for your family," Michael explained. "Someone who can look at these business owners and truly empathize with their challenges." For the first time, Rosalind saw her difficult experience through a different lens, not as a source of shame, but as valuable insight that could help others. Her second job, which had once embarrassed her, had given her understanding that Michael's money couldn't buy. "I'll think about it," she promised. "The foundation takes a lot of my time, but this is important too." A month later, the Jordan family gathered for the grand opening of the business center. Michael had insisted on keeping the event small and community-focused, despite media interest. Local business owners, community leaders, and the Jordan family watched as Michael and Rosalind cut the ribbon together. "This center represents the values our parents taught us," Michael said in his brief remarks. "Hard work, determination, and reaching back to help others climb up too." When it was Rosalind's turn to speak, she looked out at the gathering of hopeful entrepreneurs and their families. 18 months ago, I was cleaning offices at night in this very building, trying to keep my family afloat. Today, I stand here as the director of a foundation that supports working families and as the sister of a man who saw potential where others saw only an outdated office building. She paused, making eye contact with Michael. "Sometimes what looks like the end of your story is just the beginning of a new chapter." The Jordan Family Business Center isn't just about providing affordable office space. It's about creating a community where entrepreneurs can find support when they stumble, just as I found support when I needed it most. After the ceremony, as guests toured the renovated building, Rosalind and Michael stood together looking at a wall display honoring their father. The centerpiece was a quote from James Jordan that both siblings had chosen. "A Jordan never stands alone." "You were right that night in your car," Michael said quietly. "Dad didn't mean we had to be strong enough to handle everything ourselves. He meant we would always have family to lean on. And now others will have this center to lean on," Rosalind added. As they stood there, surrounded by family and the legacy they were building together, Rosalind thought about the journey that had brought them to this moment. The viral photo that had exposed her second job had been mortifying at the time. But without it, the foundation might never have been created. The public conversation about family support might never have happened. This business center might have been just another real estate investment rather than a meaningful community resource. What had seemed like her most humiliating moment had become the catalyst for her most important work. And the truth about that night that Michael had been there to finalize a major investment in their community, not just to confront her about working 2 jobs, had remained their secret until now. Some parts of their story would always belong just to them, just to their family, and that was exactly as it should be. "Ready to get back to work?" Michael asked, gesturing toward the gathering of entrepreneurs eager to meet them both. Rosalind nodded. Together, this time. Side by side, the Jordan siblings moved forward to continue the legacy their father had begun. A legacy of hard work, of family unity, and of giving back to the community that had shaped them both. That was the end of this story about Michael Jordan and his sister Rosalind. Where are you listening from today? If you enjoyed this heartwarming tale about family, pride, and helping others, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories just like this one. Don't forget to share with your friends and family to spread kindness and awareness. Small acts of compassion, whether from billionaire basketball legends or everyday people, can create ripples of positive change in our world. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you in the next video.